Oh, my God. It's a three-pointer. Carolina wins it. The Tar Heels win it.
The following is a presentation of the Tar Heels Sports Network.
For the fifth straight year, teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference are scheduled to play 20 conference games during the regular season. With so many conference opportunities, you might think that dropping a league contest, particularly in early December, wouldn't necessarily be a long-term problem. And yet, inevitably, the standings will be close and every win matters. So, in the middle of a difficult non-conference stretch, the Tar Heels try and get conference play off to a strong start in the Smith Center today against Florida State. The Tar Heel Sports Network's coverage of the 70th meeting between Florida State and Carolina starts right now.
R.J. Davis, he's going to try a quick three. Yes, from the right sideline. 2-on-1. Baycott finishes the transition hammer. The drive is pass taken away by R.J. Davis. Davis 2-on-2, slips, saves it to Trimble, though, who scoops it in. Rebound, Carolina, it's Davis. He's fouled, and give him it. He got it to go. Has a chance for three. Pulls up, no good. Washington, the rebound and the putback. Tries the alley-oop, broken up by Trimble. Long pitch ahead, Davis, Baycott for the hammer. Turnaround for two, he got it at the horn. How about them Tar Heels?
The Tar Heels Sports Network is on the air with Carolina basketball.
This is Dave Nathan. After Wednesday's ACC-SEC challenge against Tennessee, the Tar Heels haven't had long to get ready for an all-ACC matchup today against Florida State. Jones Angel will have the call of this afternoon's contest.
Yeah, Dave, Carolina's coming off that emotional win over Tennessee on Wednesday. It, of course, has another marquee non-conference matchup with UConn. That's in Madison Square Garden coming up on Tuesday. So the Heels have to be completely focused on the athletic and aggressive Florida State Seminole team in the Smith Center today between those two massive non-conference opponents. Marcus Ginyard, part of two ACC championship teams at Carolina, on that 2009 national title team and played more than a decade overseas.
Hey, Jones, I'm excited about this afternoon. You know, North Carolina's had a great November. Let's see if they can keep it going and keep growing into December.
We've got all those storylines on the Reed's Jewelers pregame show. Plus, Carolina soccer standout Andrew Cordes discusses his journey in becoming a Tar Heel. We'll bring you an interview with head coach Hubert Davis and comments from Leonard Hamilton. Marcus Ginyard and Adam Lucas answer your questions about the Tar Heels, and we'll check on scores from around the country, too. All of that more is coming up as we count you down to tip-off between the Tar Heels and Seminoles from the Smith Center in Chapel Hill. This is Carolina basketball from Learfield.
This is Carolina basketball on the Tar Heels Sports Network, and you're listening to the Reed's Jewelers pregame show. Carolina basketball is brought to you by Hunt Brothers Pizza, the official pizza of Carolina Athletics. This is the Reed's Jewelers pregame show.
And it's not just the Reed's Jewelers pregame show, but today's game is also presented by Continental Tire. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires for a dealer near you. Go to ContinentalTire.com. Dave Nathan welcoming you inside the Smith Center for Carolina basketball as Florida State is in town to take on the Tar Heels. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's affair, let's go back and take a deeper dive into what happened on Wednesday between Carolina and Tennessee. Because, Jones, Marcus, the more that we've had a chance to investigate in the finality of that, the more impressive the offensive output looked. 61 points scored in the first half against a team that only allowed 61.5 per game. 100 points scored in total, marking just the second time an opponent had hit for that many against a Rick Barnes-coached Tennessee team. And I think Coach Davis said this to you, Jones, afterwards. It was about as fine an offensive showing as the Tar Heels have had in a long time against an opponent like that.
Yeah, when you consider the quality of opponent, it was particularly impressive. And I'd even stretch that into the next 5 or 7 minutes of the second half as well, when Carolina really was doing some good things. And Yeah, I mean, Tar Heels scored on 17 of the first 21 possessions of the game. I mean, that's crazy. And so, Marcus, when you do look a little deeper, I think you see a lot of things, though, that you like and that you hope can be repeatable. Maybe not to that extent all at once, but that you think can be repeatable. And that's, Carolina is +5 in points off turnovers. They're +9 in second chance points. They're +12 on fast break points, +19 at the free throw line. So all those things together, in addition to quality shooting, Carolina was doing a lot of things that it wants to do to try to be successful. And I think particularly the pace in which the Tar Heels played gave them some easy baskets and aided in that big free throw number because they were getting the ball to Baycott quickly in position to score, which forced Tennessee to foul a bunch.
I've been super impressed, like you said, with the pace of this North Carolina basketball team. That's the thing that I've seen. That's the biggest change that I've seen from last year to this year. And another thing that I really love is just the way that they move the basketball. And like you said, they're doing all the things that Carolina basketball teams have done in the past to be successful. And, I think the story, moving forward is just can they continue to build on what they've done so far. It was a very, very encouraging November for this basketball team.
Marcus, I'd be interested to know, pace. Everybody says, well, just run. That's easy, right? Just run up and down the court. So what does it take to be a good running team? You were a part of some excellent ones at Carolina. What does it take in your mind to be a part of one of those teams that can be such a threat in the open court?
Well, first and foremost, it takes a good defensive team, right? You need to start that fast break with a defensive stop or putting a ton of pressure on that offensive team to be tired after that offensive possession. And then, yes, you got to run the floor, but you got to run the floor with spacing. You got to take care of the basketball. You got to get to the right spots. So you got to be in great shape. And you got to be really mentally tough to do what you're supposed to do, even when you don't get the ball. Sprinting to the corner is going to allow Armando Baycott to be open in the middle of the paint. And is Armando sprinting the lane, rim to rim? So there's a lot of things that go into it, but absolutely, you just got to be ready to run.
Jones, Marcus and I talked about this a little earlier. It oftentimes feels like there's a clear line of demarcation between non-conference play and then jumping into the ACC. But based on what the Tar Heels have had to face in the last week and what they have to face for the remainder of the month, this is really just another game against an opponent that could prove to be really good.
Absolutely. I think there is a little extra something to this because that it could very easily the difference between 16-4 and 15-5 or 14-6 and 13-7 or something in the conference. We've seen it. Even if you're playing all these games, 20 of them, one game can make a difference of you getting that double bye in the ACC tournament or you don't, or you get the single bye or no bye. You see that where even though you play so many games, one or two games can make a difference. But I do agree with you, Dave, this is not a December or even a November where you have a game like a Florida State today and then you say, oh, okay, well, the next two or three, Carolina's going to be heavily favored, and so they need to put all of it into today. Marcus, this is as tough an 8-game stretch as Carolina has faced in years, and so you're halfway through it right now with Northern Iowa, Villanova, Arkansas, and Tennessee, but now you've got Florida State, Connecticut, Kentucky, and then Oklahoma. So it is just another step in this really, really difficult journey.
You're absolutely right. This is an incredible 8-game stretch. And, we talked about it a little bit pregame. I think the biggest thing for this North Carolina basketball team is just focusing on today's game. There's a lot in the future that everybody's excited about, the game up at Madison Square Garden, going down to Atlanta, some other big-time names. And I'll tell you what, don't look at this Florida State name and not think that they're just as talented and able as some of these other bigger names that North Carolina has later. So, they're going to have a big matchup this afternoon that I'm sure they're focused for, but, they better keep their minds here today because this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and, David, it would be a disservice to Florida State. We know how good Florida State is. It would be a disservice to them to call this like a trap game or a sandwich game or something like that. But I do think you just have to make sure you stay present, as Marcus alluded to, and especially with the big emotions from Wednesday night, being able to kind of recharge that battery today against a team that is very good, I think will be important for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Noles coming up in a moment, but the last thing on the Tar Heels, and I don't think there's any real news on the injury report. The Tar Heels appear to be fine, but they've hurt the opposition at the free throw line. It's been well documented how many whistles we've had in the first 7 games, but the Tar Heels are taking advantage, hitting 32 of 38 against the Vols on Wednesday, averaging 28 trips to the line so far this year and connecting 77% of the time.
Yeah, that'd be second best in school history if that percentage stayed. Carolina at 76.9 right now, but the opposition shooting really well at the free throw line. It's 78.6% right now for Carolina's opponents at the free throw line. That would be a school record as far as Carolina and its opponents are concerned. So we've seen a lot of fouls, and we've seen really the Tar Heels and the opposition convert at a high level, and it was important on Wednesday night. I mean, Tar Heels didn't have a field goal in the last 7 minutes. Their last 13 points were all at the free throw line, and you do have, I think, not that you don't have more than this, but gosh, it's hard not to feel really good with R.J. Davis or Cormac Ryan at the free throw line in a big moment. You know, Cormac shooting 21 of 22 right now. RJ is 27 of 29 on the season. They're going to miss some, of course, but to have that kind of percentage, you feel really good late in game with the ball in those guys' hands. And, Marcus, I thought it was important for Elliot Cadeau, who has struggled at the free throw line some this year and was 0 for 2 at one point last game. You know, he made 5 of his last 6 against Tennessee, including some big ones late where they purposefully fouled him to try to get an empty possession for the Tar Heels. And he stepped up and hit some big ones.
You know, been super impressed with Elliot Cadeau, obviously with his passing ability and what he can do offensively. But to your point, growing as a freshman, that was a big moment for him to knock down some big free throws. In North Carolina, shooting 77% right now, that's incredible. And they're going to hope to get that up even more because I truly believe they're going to be spending a lot of time on the free throw line. When you talk about Armando Bacot, R.J. Davis getting into the lane, and, Harrison Ingram going to be at the foul line a ton. So that's going to be something that's very, very important for them moving forward.
Carolina and Florida State coming up at the top of the hour. Coming up right now, we've got to take a quick timeout, but upon our return, we'll discuss the Seminoles on the Reed's Jewelers pregame show from Learfield. Food Line Feeds has donated over 3.2 million meals to local food banks through the Food Line Score to Give More program. For every free throw made by the Tar Heels this season, Food Line Feeds will continue to donate 100 meals to feed our neighbors in need right here in the Triangle. Florida State arrived to Chapel Hill with a 4-2 record, but on the heels of a 68-66 loss to Georgia. A 17-point Seminole lead withered away as the Dogs hit the go-ahead basket with just 1.5 seconds to play. So, Jones, just as Carolina had to pick itself up last week after losing to Villanova, Leonard Hamilton's team is faced with a similar proposition today.
Yeah, that was a 17-point lead with 6.5 minutes to go. That's a tough one to let slip away if you're Florida State. And, of course, the Seminoles coming off a really bad season last year. I mean, the last, let's say, 10 years or so, maybe even longer than that, maybe 15, Florida State has solidified itself as certainly a top half of the ACC and oftentimes in the top 3 or 4 teams in the conference. And they have been so consistent in that way, which is what made last year, and when they only had 9 total wins, such a strange season for them and what feels like more of an aberration than something like FSU's slip in or something like that. Having said that, Marcus, they do have some new pieces that they're trying to put together, whether it's transfers or freshmen. They're still dealing with some eligibility issues for some of their players. Primo Spears, a Georgetown transfer, has not been available yet that they really thought was going to be a big part of their team. But to me, the biggest storyline whenever you play Florida State, length, size, and defensive pressure. And it's been the same way for the last decade plus, and that is not different today. This is an incredibly lengthy and athletic team, and they're going to challenge Carolina with that length and height today.
Size and athleticism, the first 2 things that come to mind whenever I think about Florida State. And I'll tell you what, Jones, this Florida State team is, well, the Florida State program, I'll say, this was always a game that made me a little nervous. They're very well coached. They're going to play super hard, and it's really tough to deal with 6'9", 6'10", 6'11 guards and guys that are super, super athletic. So, it's going to be a tough matchup. And another thing that I'll just add, they're coming off a bad loss. And, again, very well coached. I can imagine that Coach Hamilton's got these guys fired up and ready to play. And I don't want to say that North Carolina is going to be sleeping today after a big win Wednesday, but it's just makes me a little nervous knowing that they're coming off a big win. Florida State's coming off a big loss. Where we're going to meet in the middle.
Dave, I mean, Florida State, every player that has played significant minutes for them is 6'5" or taller. And most of these guys, you're looking at 6'9", 6'10". Now, are those 100% accurate? Sometimes you fudge a little bit on those numbers, but it doesn't change that much. These are big, tall guys, and so particularly Carolina's backcourt with R.J. Davis and Elliot Cadeau, both those guys are excellent players, but, Marcus, they aren't real tall players. And so how they manage having a 6'5", 6'7" player guarding them will be important today.
Taking care of the basketball, I think, is the number one key of the game today, personally. And like you said, that they're going to be challenged with that, with that height and that length. But I think that both Elliot Cadeau and R.J. Davis are great guards, handle the ball very well, are smart, and I think they'll be able to take care of business today.
Dave, I got bad news for Marcus. I've already written down my key to the game, and it's taking care of the basketball, so you got to come up with something different, Skinner. You're still new in this neighborhood. You got to come up with something different.
That works. I'll do it.
The good news is, Marcus, you've got better than a half hour to figure out a new key to the game, as we've got just a couple of minutes left here to discuss Florida State. One of those 6'5" or taller players that we're kind of beating around the bush about, Darren Green, who's actually a North Carolina native from Charlotte. He began his career at Central Florida before transferring to Tallahassee last year, and he's been a really big pickup, averaging a team best 14.5 points per game this year.
He's a great shooter, and 38% from three-point range. That number's actually gone up the last 3 games. He's shooting nearly 40% from three. Yeah, Carolina only played Florida State once last year. It was late in the year. Green did not have a good game. He was 1 of 11, 1 of 7 from 3. He is a much better shooter than those numbers may suggest, and so that is someone that Carolina is going to have to pay attention to. And just one other word about Florida State's length. Yeah, I kind of forgotten this, Dave. In that game last year, Armando Bacot didn't have a field goal. He only had 1 point, and that was a free throw in the game in Tallahassee a year ago, a game that Carolina won thanks to some great three-point shooting. But Bacot did not have a field goal, so he was extraordinarily bothered by the length of Florida State a year ago. How he manages that today, of course, will be important, but Tar Heels going to have their hands full defensively with Green and with others, because Florida State's got some guys that can put the ball in the hoop for sure.
Definitely. And, we think about Green, and, we talked about his near 40% shooting. I also just want to highlight that's on 42 three-point attempts.
Yeah.
More than double the next guy on their team. So not only somebody that can do it efficiently, but somebody who's going to get those shots up. So going to have to be focused on him and make sure we don't get him hot in here.
Marcus Ginyard and Adam Lucas will focus on your Carolina questions after the break. Jones will slide over and talk to Coach Davis in the Continental Tire Coaches Corner. We hope you stay right where you are, because we've got more of the Reach Jewelers pregame show on the way after this from Learfield. Today's pregame show is brought to you by Reach Jewelers. The official Reach Jewelers tip-off time is 2:02. Reach Jewelers, your home for fine Swiss timepieces, beautiful diamonds, and the world's most luxurious jewelry brands. That's Reach Jewelers, trusted with life's moments. Visit your local Reach Jewelers or reeds.com. Dave Nathan welcoming you back to Chapel Hill and the Smith Center for Carolina and Florida State coming up at the top of the hour. Let's get to our Carolina questions, though, and Jacob Wilson has one for Marcus, who has played all over the world. Marcus, how did you find that the Carolina basketball name was known during your travels?
Great question, Jacob. Everybody in the world knows North Carolina basketball, whether it's the beautiful Carolina blue, the interlocking NC, Michael Jordan. I mean, there's just a lot of ways that people associate with it, but everybody knows it. And I just remember every team that I played for in all the different pockets of the earth, everybody knew North Carolina, and they were super excited to have a player from North Carolina there. So, Jacob, everybody in the world knows North Carolina. Everybody loves North Carolina. So no different than any of us here.
Marcus, let me ask you this. My question is, can we fill a whole segment on what the food was like overseas?
We absolutely can. And you just let me know when we get that thing squared away. I would love to talk about it. Hopefully, maybe somewhere, let's go to a little French restaurant in town or something. Let's talk about it.
All right, there's going to be a time to tackle that. Right now, Adam Lucas can tackle this from Kevin Smart. How is Carolina handling preparation for these multiple good opponents in a really confined amount of time?
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. The Tar Heels, of course, divide up the scouting among different assistant coaches. Pat Sullivan, as luck of the draw would have it, had both Tennessee and Florida State, so he had been working on them for weeks up till this week. But then he'll have 2 in quick turnaround. A little bit little bit lighter practice yesterday as the Tar Heels got ready for the Seminoles, just trying to preserve some load management, Marcus. That's what the professional basketball players like you call it. Some load management, trying to keep Carolina fresh for this one. And I wouldn't think the Tar Heels will go super, super hard leading into that UConn game on Tuesday night in New York, because not only do you have to practice, you got travel.
It is a wild stretch for Carolina basketball today. The opponent, Florida State, and it's time to send things over to Jones, who's with Coach Davis for this installment of the Continental Tire Coaches Corner, brought to you by Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires. And for a dealer near you, just go to ContinentalTire.com.
Carolina, believe it or not, begins conference play today against Florida State in the Smith Center. I'm with the head coach of the Tar Heels, Hubert Davis. We are inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. Coach, I know you were obviously pleased after the win over Tennessee on Wednesday night, but you also said there'd be plenty of training tape to work off of coming out of that game. What are some of the areas you identified as places to improve coming out of that terrific win?
Well, just, from an offensive standpoint, just the importance of, taking care of the basketball, making sure every possession we get the right shot, and, just execution in terms of setting screens and, just being sharp and continuing to be sharp on the offensive end, but just, the main part was just defensively. I felt like in the first half we were really good in our communication and, boxing out and rebounding. And in the second half, especially out of bounds underneath, we just allowed too many points in the paint, layups, dunks, wide open threes by, their best shooters like Dalton Connect. And I just didn't feel like in the second half we had the type of intensity defensively that we had in the first half.
Carolina's pace was so good in the Tennessee game, and it has been noticeably at a high level so far this year. I know it's easy to say play with pace, and I think people think, just run fast. That should be easy. But what are the keys to actually doing it consistently?
Well, I think the guys see the benefit of it, because, we've got our 5 men running hard down the middle of the floor. That's very difficult to defend, and it allows our fives, especially Armando, to catch the ball deep in the post without a double team. We've got our wings consistently running, and we're doing a really good job of pitching the ball ahead, which allows us to get out in transition even faster, have the ability to shoot. And, one of the things that we always talk about, to be in a primary break is, we want to lay up or a dunk or a deep post catch, or let's get fouled, get to the free throw line, or a quick open three by our best 3-point shooters. And the guys enjoy it, and they see the benefit of it from an offensive standpoint. And also at that pace, it gives us an opportunity to play even more guys. And I really like that.
You mentioned Dalton Connect a little earlier. That was the third straight opponent that's had an individual opponent that's had 30 points or more. Is there an underlying theme there, or just 3 good players that had really good nights?
3 good players have had 3 good nights, but I've also had conversations with the team that it's been 3 straight games that a guy's gone for a career high. I gave, them analogy of, a park mentality and, us growing up playing on the blacktop, and if you score on me, but you're not going to score on me the same way the next time down the floor. And, but I did communicate that to them, that there has to be a resolve and a resistance from anybody having career nights against us. And so we've got to do a better job against really good individual offensive players and not letting them get hot. And if they do get hot, we stop them from continuing to make baskets.
Coach, as it normally is, Florida State has proven to be a quality and aggressive defensive team early this season. They're forcing 17 turnovers, 10 of them coming by steal. What is important for your team to manage some of that defensive pressure today?
Well, it's something that I've talked to the team every day about, making the easy play. We don't need home runs. We just need singles and to limit turnovers. And so with Florida State, they have tremendous length and athleticism. They play the passing lanes. They're trying to get steals and deflections, and you just have to make the fundamental play. I always tell them, make routine plays routinely, and if you just take care of the basketball, we'll get the shots that we want. And it also puts us in position to attack the offensive glass and get to the free throw line as well.
I was going to ask you about some of that length. All 5 of their starters are listed at 6'5" or taller. What challenges does that height and length present, and how can you try to mitigate it some with what you guys are doing?
Well, their height and length, gives them ability to get in the pass lanes and getting steals and deflections from a defensive standpoint. And then on the offensive end, they can crash the offensive glass. And so size doesn't mean anything to me in terms of toughness. You know, some of the hardest guys to ever post up, some of the hardest guys ever to box out are guys that don't have a lot of height. And so it's about your will and your want to. And if we get the ball out in transition, we should be fine offensively. And on the defensive end, just making contact first, boxing out and rebounding, and then allowing us to get out in transition.
Another big-time opponent in this stretch of big-time opponents for the Tar Heels. Coach, as always, thank you for your time, and best of luck today.
Thanks, Jones. I appreciate it.
From the Continental Tire Coach's Corner to our keys to the game, take your Tar Heels tailgate to the next level with the new Honda. See your Honda dealer of the Carolinas today. Jones, my key for this one, for Carolina, be strong on the perimeter early, and that should lead to better shots late in the game around the interior.
Marcus, you know it. I'm going taking care of the basketball. Florida State forces a bunch of turnovers. Heels have to be careful in their half-court offense.
Jones tried to throw me off and stole mine, but I'm just going to go with poise tonight. And that kind of goes with taking care of the basketball, but just making the right play, like Coach Davis said, routine plays routinely.
Those are our keys to the game. It's about time for the game. Carolina and Florida State coming up. But first, we'll pause 10 seconds for a station ID down the lines on the Tar Heel Sports Network.
Just about time to do it in the Smith Center, the 70th meeting between Carolina and Florida State. Thanks so much for joining us. Jones Angel courtside here with former Tar Heel national champion Marcus Ginyard. We're excited to be bringing you the action on this Saturday afternoon. Lot to do. Let's start with those starting lineups presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, made to chill, an official beer of the Tar Heels. We'll start with the visitors. FSU comes in 4-2 through 6 games. Their head coach, Gastonia native Leonard Hamilton. Hard to believe Coach Hamilton, 74 years old. Whatever he's having, I'll have too, if I can look as good as he does at 74 years old. Let's take a look at the starting five for the Seminoles. They are big, man. Jalen Worley, one of their listed guards, is 6'7", a junior from Mount Airy, Pennsylvania, averaging nearly 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.5 steals per game. He's coming off a scoreless performance against Georgia, but had 19 points in a victory over Colorado, which was the championship game of the Sunshine Slam last week. The other guard for FSU is Darren Green Jr., 6'5" senior from Charlotte. He is a transfer from UCF. He's FSU's leading scorer at 14.5 points per game. Great three-point shooter at better than 38% per contest. Up front, 6'7", Jameer Watkins, redshirt junior, a VCU transfer. He was the ACC co-player of the week last week, along with RJ Davis. Also for Florida State, Deontay Green, 6'9" sophomore from Asheville, North Carolina, went to Asheville Christian Academy, nearly 8 points and 4 rebounds per contest. And then the highly recruited Baba Miller, 6'11", sophomore, originally from Spain. He was mired in some NCAA eligibility issues last year, so he only played the back half of the year. They were excited for him to have a full season, and he's played well here early in the year. 7 points, 4.5 rebounds per contest. Now for the Tar Heels, they come in 6-1 under the guidance of Hubert Davis in his third season, ranked 17th in the AP poll, 16th in the coaches poll. It'll be a rookie and a veteran in the backcourt. Elliot Cadeau gets his third consecutive start. The freshman from West Orange, New Jersey, has 21 assists and 1 turnover in the last 4 games. RJ Davis, Carolina's leading scorer, at 19.5 points per game. RJ has 80 points in the last 3 games, including 27 in the victory over Tennessee. Cormac Ryan back in the starting lineup. Didn't start last game due to the fact that he hadn't practiced because of the right ankle injury. Did play, but back in the starting lineup today, the graduate transfer from Notre Dame. Also for Carolina, Harrison Ingram, another transfer. He's from Stanford originally, grew up in Dallas, Texas, and he's played well for Carolina. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 1.5 steals per contest. And then Armando Bacot, 6'11", graduate student from Richmond, makes his 140th career start. Armando averaging nearly 17 points and 11.5 rebounds per game. The Duncan Uniform Report, it's time for tip-off, so time to get back to buzzer beaters, blocks, bounce passes, and most of all, Duncan. Welcome back, Tar Heel fans. America runs on Duncan. Carolina in the home whites with the Carolina blue numbers, letters, and trim. Argyle down the side. Florida State in the road burgundy with gold numbers, letters, and trim. Ball in the air, and Baycott wins the tip. Carolina will have the ball first, going from right to left as we see it here courtside in the Smith Center. Roger Ayers, Tony Henderson, Justin Porterfield, the three officials, and an early whistle is blown. Roger Ayers off the ball, calls a foul on Florida State's Jalen Worley for getting tangled up, I believe, with Baycott down low. So just 9 seconds into the game, an early foul called on Florida State. Long inbounds goes between the circles to Davis. Nice pass through traffic to Baycott. He waits for that traffic to clear with a pump fake and then lays it in. Boy, nice patience by Baycott after a good delivery by Davis. Gets things started. Tar Heels up 2-0. Jameer Watkins, talented transfer from VCU. Hands off to Worley near the center jump circle. Now to Green. Florida State, everything happening on the perimeter right now. Watkins has it again. Baycott guarding him on a switch. Sends it in the corner left to Green. Shot clock down to 6. Worley has it now. Still on the perimeter. Shot clock down to 3. Worley going to have to force a tough shot against the defense of Baycott. No good, but an offensive rebound by Watkins and a stick back. Carolina had a great defensive possession, but then gives up the easy one with the putback. Baycott gets it down low again. Great pass by Cadeau. Quickly down the court, and Baycott lays it in with the left hand. 4 points for Baycott. He has gotten the ball in a scoring and winning position twice, and he's made it pay off with easy buckets. 4-2 Carolina, 18:45 to go in the first half. Green, a challenge to long two, no good, and this time Carolina pulls down the board. It's Cormac Ryan to Cadeau, left side to a trailing Ryan. Stud or step, and he traveled as he caught the ball on the right wing, thought about shooting, and then wanted to drive, and in the process of all of that, took too many steps. So 18:35 to go. First half, Carolina up 4-2. Already, Marcus, we've seen some good entry passes from Carolina.
I think Armando Baycott is doing a phenomenal job of making his presence felt. Like you said, 9 seconds into the game, draws a foul, then gets great post position, scores 2 times in a row.
So 4-2 Carolina. Florida State with the basketball. Watkins to Deontay Green. Passes over on the right side. It goes to Worley. Guarded by Cadeau. Right back to Green. He'll try the quick three. It's off the iron. No. R.J. Davis scoops up the rebound. He'll try and bring it front side against the much larger Baba Miller. Finds Harrison Ingram. Right back to Davis. His long three off the front of the iron. No good from the right wing. Rebound to Florida State. And Jalen Worley. Still 4-2 Carolina as Worley hands off to Green. Kicks it in the right corner. Long three ball rattles out for FSU. That was Watkins who couldn't hit it. Baycott cleans the glass. Here comes Carolina the other way. R.J. Davis, pump fake, drive. He'll bounce it in the left corner. Wide open look for Cormac Ryan. In and out from 3. Man, that thing was 80% of the way in, but wouldn't stay down. Both teams having some long balls pop out here in recent possessions. Still 4-2. 17:35 to go first half. Mid-range jumper is no good by Florida State. Short by Deontay Green. Here comes Carolina the other way. Long pitch ahead by Cadeau to Ryan. Right back to Cadeau to a trailing Baycott. Over on the right wing, it goes to Davis. Now right corner to Ingram. Ingram crouches over, dribbles into the ACC logo. Cut off there, bounces back out to Davis. Davis gets deep. His runner on the baseline is good from the right side. 6-2, Carolina with the early advantage. Tar Heels doesn't feel like it, but they're 3 of 5 from the field. Florida State just 1 of 6 so far. Watkins drives to the left baseline, now pitches it up to the left elbow, and Green. He'll send it out right side to Worley. Cadeau trying to fight through a screen. He's going to get called for the foul as he tried to fight around a screen. And so Cadeau, who has fouled out twice in 7 games, picks up an early foul. 16:52 to go first half. Carolina 6, Florida State 2. And the Noles will be inbounding in front of the Carolina bench. Hubert Davis back in the sport coat this year. No tie, but he is wearing the sport coat. Rest of the Tar Heel staff still in quarter zips. Watching as Florida State throws it in. Watkins can't get by Ryan. Tries again on the baseline. Now he's caught in a double team there. Bounces out to Green. 4 seconds left. Baba Miller guarded. 3 is good. Boy, the big man got it out on the right wing and was able to rattle in a triple to make it 6-5. But another late shot clock for Florida State. Carolina's forcing the Noles into some tough looks. Heels by 1 as Cadeau has it on the right sideline. Bounces down low to Baycott. Quick hook shot on the baseline right, no good. Rebound to Florida State. Noles come the other direction. Watkins, hesitation dribble, gets deep and finishes through the challenge of Bacot. Boy, Watkins is tough. He's got 4 as Carolina tries a long pitch ahead and broken up. I believe that was Watkins who got back to break up the pass. Good effort by him as it will go into the Florida State bench. This will prompt the first subs of the game. Florida State plays a lot of guys as they traditionally do. And in comes Chandler Jackson, a 6'5 sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee. Also Jalen Gainey, 6'10 transfer from Brown, playing in just his second game. He's got a huge brace on his right knee after a knee injury last year. So Florida State with some subs in the game. R.J. Davis will try a 3 from the left side. Count it. Davis has 5. Bacot has 4, and the Tar Heels lead 9-7. Front side, Florida State. Green trying to go against Davis. Sends it over to Watkins on the right wing. Cormac Ryan down in a defensive stance against him. Watkins tries the alley-oop. It was kind of tipped up and in by Gainey. He and Bacot met at the ball, and it just kind of got poked up in the air and went in. So it ties the game up at 9. Ingram will try a quick 3 on the other side. Flat and short as soon as he shot it. Florida State the other way. Barreling forward is Cameron Fletcher, who's in the game for the first time. He has a big brace on his knee after an injury last year as well. Backing in against the smaller Davis is Jackson, but Bacot comes over to pin it off the backboard. Here comes Carolina. Davis pulls up in transition for 2 at the free throw line. Boy, we've seen RJ do that his whole career. Gets to that mid-range in transition, and he's good at pulling up and dropping it home. 11-9, Tar Heels with the 2-point lead. 14:45 to go first half. Fletcher bounces to Gainey. Boy, hit nothing but the backboard on a 16-foot jumper. Here comes Carolina after Bacot's rebound to Cadeau. Long pass left side to Ingram. Open for 3. Instead, kicks it to Ryan. He'll knock it in from the corner for the triple. And Florida State's going to take a timeout as Carolina, boy, we've talked about it some early this year, passing up good to great. Ingram had a good shot. He was open on the left wing. Ryan had a great shot, open in the left corner, and he banged it home. 14-9 our score. The timeout from Florida State will stretch to a full 14:29 to play. First half in the Smith Center from Learfield. Carolina 14, Florida State 9. 14:29 to play in the first half. Our game coverage today presented by Continental Tire. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires. For a dealer near you, go to ContinentalTire.com. And brought to you in part by Allen Tate Realtors. Whether you're buying, selling, relocating, or seeking financing or insurance, Allen Tate can help. Allen Tate Realtors, the #1 realtor in the Carolinas with more than 70 local offices and a proud partner of Carolina Athletics. I'm Jones Angel. He's Marcus Ginyard. And Marcus, good start for Carolina. Heels shooting 60% from the floor. FSU's 4 of 11, 36%. And feels like, while every shot has not gone in for Carolina, feels like Carolina, for the most part, maybe that hook shot by Bacot a little fast, but for the most part, it feels like these shots have been quality looks for the Heels.
They absolutely have been. Like you said, 60% from the field, 40% from 3. You got Armando Bacot in the lane. You got R.J. Davis attacking the basket. You got wide open 3 for Cormac Ryan. You got to love those shots, and you got to think that most of those shots are going to go in.
So far, the 3 players that Marcus mentioned are the 3 players who have scored for Carolina. 7 for R.J. Davis. Bacot has 4 and 4 rebounds. Cormac Ryan with that bucket before the timeout has 3 for Florida State, 4 points for Watkins, 3 for Baba Miller, and 2 for Jalen Gainey. Makes up their 9 points to this point of the ball game. Carolina showing a little full court pressure. We've seen the Heels do this just a little bit here early in the season as Carolina's going to make a few subs for the first time. Cadeau is out and Jalen Withers is in, and Bacot is out. Jalen Washington is in. So we'll set the 5 for you in just a second. But Florida State working in the half court. Carolina up by 5. Josh Nickelberry, a veteran of the college game, formerly of Louisville, in there for Florida State, kicks it over to Watkins, and Watkins had gotten space behind a screen and strips the net on a 3 and gets Florida State back within 2 at 14-12. Watkins has 7 of Florida State's 12 points. Davis, Ryan, Withers, Ingram, Washington, the 5 on the floor for Carolina. Working in the half court, Davis well out on the left wing. Jab step to the right, now comes to the left. Tough bounce pass through traffic to Washington. Hook shot in front of the cup is good. Boy, that was another tough pass. Davis has had a couple really good passes to Baycott and now to Washington to set up easy buckets, 16-12. Jackson well out on the perimeter for Florida State. Sends it over to the hot Watkins. He is hot. Carolina's seen some guys get hot against them here recently. Sends it out. Three-pointer no good by Jackson on the left wing. Ingram with the board to Davis. Long cross court to Ryan. Transition three. Looks good, but a little short rebound, though, Ingram. Ingram backing in, pivoting, going to the hoop. Can't finish. And the loose ball ends up into Florida State's hands. 16-12 as Nickelberry comes the other way. Got caught in the air, but is able to save it out to Watkins. Nobody ever guards him, and he strips the three and then goes and says something to the Tar Heel bench afterwards. Jalen Washington was a good 6 feet away. Hubert Davis kept saying, go get him, but he never did. R.J. Davis tries to answer, flat on the three-pointer. Rebound to Florida State's Fletcher. So 16-15. Carolina with the lead, but Florida State with the ball. They'll try another three, and that one's good. Chandler Jackson hits Florida State's fourth three-pointer. They average making about 7.5 a game. So they've made a bunch here early to give them the 18-16 lead. Cormac Ryan on the left sideline, dribbles up to the wing, passes back to that sideline to Davis. Tries to bounce it through traffic to Jalen Washington, and it's taken away. Here comes Florida State the other way. Watkins, who's been killing Carolina, drives in, pitches out to Nickelberry. He'll try a triple. No good off the back iron. Fletcher way up for the rebound, but is put back erased by Washington. Here comes Carolina the other way. R.J. Davis to a trailing Ingram. Pump fake on the three. Now he'll take it off the iron. Withers with the rebound. Out to Ryan. He'll slow things down and then turn it over. Tried to throw it down low to Jalen Washington and instead just passed it right to Josh Nickelberry. Kind of like when the quarterback doesn't see the linebacker. That's what happened to Cormac there. 11:35 to go first half. Florida State by 2. Watkins takes the jumper, missed everything badly on the mid-range jumper right side. Rebound to Carolina. R.J. Davis looking to pass, but nothing there. Now he'll try the bounce pass through traffic to Jalen Withers. Gets deep and draws the foul. He'll go to the free throw line. Foul is called on Gainey of Florida State. That's just the third foul called in the game. 2 on FSU, 1 on Carolina. First on Gainey. And Jalen Withers will have 2 shots after we come back. Florida State on a little 6-0 run. They've hit a couple threes. In fact, a bunch of threes. They're 4 of 8 from three-point range. That's helped them to a 2-point advantage here in the Smith Center. 11:19 to go first half. 18-16. Florida State with Withers at the line when we return from Learfield.
All the action, all season long. This is Carolina basketball.
11:19 to go first half in the Smith Center. Florida State on a 6-0 run to take an 18-16 lead over Carolina. Jalen Withers at the free throw line for 2 shots when action resumes. 11:19 to go in the half. Food Lion, proud to sponsor the Score to Give More campaign, or Score to Give More program. For each free throw the Tar Heels make in today's game, Food Lion Feeds will donate 100 meals to a local area food bank. Couple finals from earlier today in ACC action. Miami beats Notre Dame. That game was in Coral Gables, 62-49 the final. Virginia in Charlottesville blows out Syracuse 84-62. Duke and Georgia Tech about to get started in Atlanta. State and BC play up in Chestnut Hill at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Marcus, a couple things. One, Carolina, 8 of its 15 shots have been threes, including 3 of the last 4, and they hadn't made any of those last 3 attempts. And Florida State getting hot from 3. Now, they've had some wide-open looks. Gracious, Watkins, last 2 shots from 3. He could have checked the weather first before firing them up. And so Tar Heels withstanding a little push here from Florida State at 18-16.
Right. You know, they just didn't quite get the shots the shots didn't fall. They had some good shots, but they also had some shots that they'd probably like to take again. But just need to do a better job of, again, being poised, taking their time, getting the best shot for the team like they did in that first little bit of the game there.
Seth Trimble has come in for the first time for Carolina as Withers' first free throw is no good. Also, Paxton Wojcik has entered. So Carolina has Davis, Trimble, Wojcik, Withers, and Baycott back on the floor. Second one for Withers is good. So he is now 8 of 10 on the season at the free throw line. And gets the Heels within a point at 18-17. Baba Miller streaking down the left sideline. Now trying to post up on Baycott's going to have to send the ball back out. Does so with a handoff pass to Green. Ball is tipped away by Carolina. Baycott wanted to pitch it down the court to R.J. Davis. Couldn't do it. So instead, he'll just slow it up, and Carolina gets possession. They're in the half court now. Baycott has it again, top of the key. Over to Seth Trimble. Heels down a point with the ball. Trimble crossover to Davis deep on the right wing. Boy, the much taller Baba Miller guarding him again. Davis, long pass to Wojcik left side. He's going to attack and fling it up. No good. But a rebound by Baycott. The stick back won't go. And I believe a goaltend has been called. So Baycott's basket will count. As I believe Florida State maybe hit the hit the net. Deontay Green went up to challenge and kind of got his hand up in the net area and hit the net in the rim, challenging the shot. So that's where the goaltend comes in. Florida State, meanwhile, has its shot blocked on the other side. Tried to go fast, and Baycott blocked Worley. Heels the other direction. R.J. Davis all the way to the cup, and it scoops it in. Wojcik found him cutting. Davis never hit the brakes. Brought that ball way down and flipped it up for two. Carolina up 3, 21-18. Boy, this pace has been breakneck here between these two the last few minutes. Green, hounded on the perimeter, sends it to Worley. Now in the left corner to Miller. Out to Deontay Green. Back to Worley, guarded by Wojcik. Gets by him, gets to the rim, and lays it in. Wojcik couldn't stay in front of Worley on that one. And it's 21-20. R.J. Davis the other way. Cadeau's at the scorer's table for Carolina. There's a Seminole there as well. Didn't see who it was. I believe it is Watkins. Meanwhile, Carolina in the half court. Baycott needs some help. He's picked up his dribble well out. Finally hands off to R.J. Davis. Davis, a step back three. No good. Withers tips the rebound, and Carolina saw 3 Tar Heel players let it bounce. It goes to Florida State, and Baba Miller gets a run-out layup. Boy, Withers kept it alive, but never went after it. He and Davis and Wojcik all just kind of looked at it, and that allowed Baba Miller to scoop it up and go lay it in. Hubert Davis, frustrated, takes out 2 of those 3 players, Davis and Withers, who watched it bounce, and brings in Cadeau and Ingram. So it's going to be Cadeau, Trimble, Wojcik, Ingram, and Baycott, and Florida State picking up full court pressure here.
That's super frustrating. Just Miller wanted it more.
Yeah, I mean, that one bounced once, maybe even twice on the floor around some Tar Heels as Cadeau gets deep, kicks it out to Wojcik. High arcing 3 is short. Boy, it barely tipped the rim. 22-21. Florida State gets the defensive rebound. They're up 1 with the ball. Back and forth in this one early on. Carolina is led by as many as 5. Florida State's had a 2-point advantage, so it's been close so far this first half, 11 minutes in. Watkins, long distance 3 is short. Baycott saves the rebound. Didn't necessarily have to, but he saves it to Wojcik before it went into the Carolina bench area. Trimble, front side, gets to the free throw line, has to bounce it out to Ingram in the middle of the floor. Hubert Davis calling out the offense for Carolina as the Heels set up in the half court. Ingram fakes the handoff on the left sideline to Trimble, backs in, and airmails the pass to Wojcik, sends it into the seats. 8:33 to go, first half. Carolina a little out of sync here in the last couple of possessions. That is turnover number 4 for Carolina. Florida State has just 1. Still 22-21, FSU by a point. 8:33 to go. Florida State has to take a timeout. They couldn't get the ball in due to the pressure by the Tar Heels. That's 2 timeouts taken by Florida State. So the Noles have 2 left for the remainder of the game with 8:33 to go. Jones Angel, Marcus Ginyard here with you. And Marcus, Carolina 9 of 20 from the field, but just 2 of 10 from 3. And they have 4 turnovers. The last couple of possessions, not quite as fluid, it feels like, as the Heels may like.
Well, one positive thing is we've seen R.J. Davis and Armando Baycott get out to a really hot start, getting the basketball to the basket, scoring in the paint. And so I'm a little surprised right now while North Carolina's not thinking more about getting back into the paint, getting into Armando Baycott near the rim, letting him finish, attacking the basket like R.J. Davis has early this game. The shot's not falling. Let's try something different.
No subs for Carolina. Cadeau, Wojcik, Trimble, Ingram, and Baycott. Kind of quiet here in the Smith Center right now. Good crowd, but Carolina's been a little sluggish here the last few possessions. 22-21, Florida State by a point with the ball. Wojcik trying to guard Watkins, who has 10 of Florida State's 22 points. Watkins on the hard drive, leaves it for Fletcher, had his dunk blocked by Baycott. 2-on-1, Trimble and Wojcik. Trimble will keep it himself and lay it in with the right hand. Boy, Carolina has protected the rim well. The Tar Heels have been able to pick up 4 blocks so far on driving Seminoles. 23-22. Deontay Green, well out, hands off to Watkins, guarded by Cadeau. 2 guys wearing number 2. Watkins has it poked away, chases it back down, shot clock down to 10 as Fletcher has it between the circles. Has it tipped away by Ingram. Cadeau to the deck to save it back to Ingram for the two-handed jam. What effort by Ingram and Cadeau for the easy bucket.
So that's the kind of defense that we're going to need to see from North Carolina throughout the rest of this ball game.
That wakes everybody up a little bit.
Exactly. Get the fans involved.
25-22. Green trying to drive on Baycott. It was stripped away again, but Cadeau going to be called for reaching in. And that's 2 on Cadeau. That'll bring R.J. Davis off the bench. It will also send us to a full timeout. So the foul on Cadeau, the only 2 fouls Carolina has been called for have been called on Cadeau. So he's going to sit. Looks like R.J. Davis will return, and Florida State will have the basketball when we return. 7:19 to play first half. Carolina 25, Florida State 22 from Learfield. $7:19 to go in the first half. Carolina 25 and Florida State 22. But Elliot Cadeau, who has played well for Carolina even without scoring, a couple of assists and some active defense, just picked up his second foul. The only 2 fouls in which the Tar Heels have been whistled. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina is the official health insurance partner of Carolina Athletics and believes an inclusive community is a healthy community. Here for the Tar Heels, here for all. And Marcus, I mentioned active on defense. It feels like Carolina has been active. Florida State's gotten a couple open looks, but the Heels have 4 blocks. They've been swatting at the basketball, a couple tip-aways, things like that. And good to see that activity against an aggressive team like Florida State.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about that, prior to the game, that defense was going to be so important. And, North Carolina just trying to build up, that identity on defense. And I think just being active and tipping the ball and having your hands in there is really what you need to do. Unfortunate for Cadeau there to pick up his second foul, but I think it's good for him to be active on defense.
Carolina is going to come out of the timeout with Davis, Trimble, Ryan, Ingram, and Baycott. So Davis, Trimble, Ryan, Ingram, and Baycott. Well, they just changed the score to 23-22. So I think perhaps they took away the goaltended play. We'll double check. We did not get that word, but they have just changed the score. So they've taken a basket away from Carolina. And it is Baycott individually who had a bucket removed, as Worley can't finish on the drive. Rebound is loose on the floor. And Carolina comes out of there with it and takes a timeout. So the Tar Heels are going to take a timeout. That's the one that can't transfer into the second half. Although certainly Hubert Davis has shown the propensity to take that timeout on the final possession. But it is going to be the basket by Baycott that was given to him on a goaltend has been removed. So Baycott has 2 field goals and Carolina has 23 points. So instead of 25-22, it's 23-22. And the Tar Heels will have the basketball after calling that timeout on the loose ball.
Interesting. Armando Baycott gets that rebound. It was a stop and play by the referee to give us the 2 points.
Yeah, it was strange. Yeah, you're right. You're talking about on the goaltend play. Yeah, because Baycott had gotten the ball back after his original shot didn't go in for what was originally called a goaltend. So he had the ball again, but then the point Marcus is making is that the play was in stop. He very well could have gone back up and scored if the play had just continued. So a bad break there for Carolina. And they're up by 1, and we'll be throwing it in with 6:59 to go in the first half. Full court pressure by Florida State. As soon as Ingram gets it in, though, they ease up other than the man on the ball, Worley, staying with R.J. Davis. Davis through the center jump circle, angles to the right, passes quickly to Cormac Ryan on the left, right back to R.J. on the right. Boy, he had Gainey on skates, drives in, kicks it out to Ryan. Good recovery defensively by Watkins. Ryan, the penetration and pitch to Davis. Shot clock down to 5. Over to Ingram. Carolina got to get moving. Shot clock down to 3. Ingram, tough 2, no good. Baycott kind of slapped the rebound up, and it sailed over the rim into the hands of a Seminole. 23-22. Baycott thought he was fouled on the play. There's only been 2 free throws taken in this game. They were by Jalen Withers. He made one of them. 6:13 to go in the half. Florida State working in the half court. Worley picks up his dribble. Shot clock is down to 7. Worley's in trouble here. This could be a 5-second violation. Finally, he's able to get it out to the timeline to Green. Green pump fake, just flings the 3 up, and it's an air ball. Carolina really good defensively, and a lot of it was Baycott. After Worley had picked up his dribble, he sat there and pivoted left of the lane for what felt like forever. Finally was able to find a teammate, but pretty late. Pressure in the backcourt, and Carolina gets it inbounds to Trimble, who comes back to help out R.J. Davis, who was getting double-teamed. Heels in the half court with a 1-point lead, 23-22. Cormac Ryan on the right sideline in the half court for Carolina. Wants to get it to Baycott, does in good position. Multiple guys there, passes out in the corner to Trimble. Drives in on the baseline, gets it to Ingram. Good extra pass to Baycott, and he's going to get fouled. Foul is on Baba Miller, his first. And just the 3rd foul on Florida State. There's only been 5 total fouls called in this game. And Baycott will have 2 shots. Another extra pass there, Marcus, by Carolina. That time it was Ingram finding Baycott, and he draws the foul.
Much better possession right there, getting the ball on both sides of the court, inside, outside. And Baycott's just doing a great job of staying active and staying around the rim.
You heard that free throw go in, and Zayden High is going to check in for the first time. He'll replace Trimble, so the Tar Heels get bigger. They're going to have Davis, Ryan, Ingram, High, and Baycott as the 5 on the floor. 24-22 after Baycott's first free throw was in. His second is up and good as well. Back iron and then through the net. 25-22, which is what we thought the score was a minute ago. Now it is 25-22. Worley on the perimeter. Hands off to Watkins. Carolina switching everything. Baycott stumbles a bit defending him, so Watkins pulls up for 3, drops it in, and then has something to say to Baycott. That'll tie it up at 25. That's 13 now for Watkins. His season high is 19. His career high is 20 as Ryan drives in. Can't finish in traffic. And multiple Tar Heels are down, including Baycott, who's holding his face as the Heels get a tip away. Baycott still hasn't gotten into the action. Finally, he does, and Florida State turns it over. They were playing 5-on-4 and turned it over. Baycott got hit across the bridge of the nose, I believe, on that rebound on the other side, and he was really stunned for a moment. Just finishing that thought, Watkins' career high is 22. He already has 13. I mean, Tar Heels have seen 3 straight games where an individual opponent has scored 30 or more points. Only the second time in school history that's happened. Washington comes in for Baycott as Davis gets deep on the drive, and he's fouled on the layup attempt. Fouls on Deontay Green. That's his first. But another shooting foul. So even though Florida State's only been called for 4 fouls, this will be the 3rd time in those 4 fouls that Carolina has earned free throws. This time it's R.J. Davis, Marcus.
Yeah, great job by R.J. attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line. These will be 2 easy points for him.
Doug Halverson, the Tar Heel trainer, still looking at Baycott on the end of the bench as Davis hits the free throw. 26-25. Carolina does not have a field goal for nearly 3 minutes, but has a 1-point lead with 4:44 to go in the first half. R.J. Davis already in double figures. He has 10. Make it 11 as he makes both free throws. So he has 11. Watkins has 13 to pace the individual teams. Carolina again pressure in the backcourt. FSU gets it in to Chandler Jackson. Now ahead to Baba Miller. Miller, boy, he just hesitated and drove and got an easy layup out of it as the Heels struggle to get it in, finally due to R.J. Davis. Baba Miller with 7, and the game's tied at 27. R.J. Davis weaving through traffic, gets to the left elbow, passes in the left corner to Ingram. Carolina works it around the perimeter to Cormac Ryan. Drives deep, pivots, turns, can't finish. Washington tips it up, no good. Both teams crash the glass. Zayden High came out with it, still loose, and eventually Florida State comes up with the basketball. Carolina, as they tripping and falling on the other side, is Chandler Jackson. And Jalen Washington's going to get called for the foul, his first. Third on Carolina. Tar Heels were very frustrated that there was no foul called in that scrum on the other side, as Baycott's going to re-enter. They showed the replay, and it looked like Chandler Jackson actually just kind of lost his footing, even though Washington was called for the foul. Jackson just now getting up off the floor. No trainer or anybody came to see him. He just took a little bit to get up. 4:02 to go in the half, still tied at 27. And what has been a close and competitive first half. Neither team is led by more than 5. Lead has changed 6 times. It's been tied 4 times. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Jackson drives right to the lane. His follow-away blocked by Baycott. 4 seconds on the shot clock for Florida State. Baba Miller will try a step-back 3. No good. And there's a rebound foul on Florida State. That's on Josh Nickelberry, his first. 5th on the Seminoles. And Carolina's going to have the basketball after this timeout. 3:38 to go in the first half. Competitive game and still tied up 27 all between the Heels and the Noles here in the Smith Center from Learfield. Carolina and Florida State tied at 27 with 3:38 to go in the first half. Tar Heels will have the basketball when action resumes. Armando Baycott already 4 blocks in this game. He has 4 of Carolina's 5. Jalen Washington has a block as well. His career high is 6. Talking about Baycott, he's done that 3 times in his Carolina career, most recently on January 29, 2022 against NC State. Marcus, well, I tell you what, before I ask Marcus about that, let me remind you that for more than 25 years, Top of the Hill Restaurant and Brewery has been a pre- and post-game tradition in Chapel Hill with handcrafted beer. Great food and atmosphere. It's where Tar Heels come to celebrate. And Marcus, I was going to say, Baycott has been active for Carolina. 6 points, 9 rebounds, those 4 blocks. He has he's been impactful in multiple ways here this evening or this afternoon.
Exactly. That to me is the most important, to impact the game in a lot of ways. Obviously, well on the way for his double-double, his usual double-double, but from the very beginning of the game, drawing a foul, posting up deep in the paint, getting 2 easy scores inside, active on the glass, running the floor. And another thing, Jones, is watching Armando Baycott on defense as they switch on the perimeter. He's done a great job of moving his feet. He had that one slip up there and gave Watkins a good 3. But I think he's been great on both ends of the floor, just really active out there.
Tar Heels rolling the dice a bit and putting Cadeau back in the game with 2 fouls. 3:35 to go. So the freshman's going to have to be careful here at the end of the first half. Cadeau, Davis, Ryan, Ingram, Baycott. So the starting 5 for Carolina on the floor. In the half court, Davis on the left wing. Between the circles, it goes to Cadeau. Pump fake, drives, gets to the rim, and it hangs on that iron and drops home. First bucket for Cadeau. Man, his first step is deceptively fast. He has been able to get by players pretty routinely here early in his Carolina career. 29-27. Neither team's led by as many. Florida State's largest lead has been 3. Carolina's has been 5. Green, backdoor cut, sends it back out to Nickelberry, to Deontay Green, to Darren Green, and he hits the 3. That is the 6th three-pointer Florida State has made in the first half. They average making 7 per game. 30-29. Cadeau nearly lost the dribble as he came front court on the left side. Now he's going to have to back up. Take a look at Hubert Davis. High post, it goes to Baycott. Baycott's going to drive hard and get called for the charge. The officials blew the whistle and stared at one another and then decide that it's a charge on Baycott, his first. So that'll turn it over to Florida State. That is turnover number 6 for Carolina. And the Smith Center crowd frustrated with the call. They've been frustrated with a couple calls here as of late. Florida State by a point, 30-29. 2:18 to go in the first half. Watkins thought about a long-distance three on the right sideline. Instead, gives it to Darren Green. To Worley. Round the perimeter, Florida State. It's Baba Miller. And he carried the basketball. He was just sitting out dribbling on the left wing. Wanted to start to attack. Kind of hesitated, and when he hesitated, held that ball up too long. Cupped his hand underneath it and turns it over. That's turnover number 5 for Florida State. Tar Heels 6 points off those 4 previous Florida State turnovers. See if they can score here and get the lead back. Currently down 1, 30-29. Ingram, high post, back to the basket, over to Davis on the left wing. Right back to Ingram. Pitches it right back to Davis. Trying to find Baycott in the post and turns it over. And another foul on Baycott because when the ball was intercepted by Green, Baycott, according to Roger Ayers, shoved Green and picks up his second. So now you've got Cadeau and Baycott with 2 fouls, and Baycott going to go to the bench. And the replay, again, unkind to the officials in the eyes of the Tar Heel crowd. Oof, that's a tough one there. 1:40 to go, first half. Carolina down by a point. Florida State has the basketball. Darren Green just hit a 3, and now he's hit 2. Don't want to let him get hot. 7 3-pointers made in the half. Florida State is 7 of 14. They have matched what they average per game as far as 3-pointers made here in the half. And now they have their largest lead of 4, 33-29. Ingram deep on the right wing for Carolina. In the corner it goes to Cadeau. Drives baseline. In the left corner to Davis. Couldn't catch it cleanly, so has to circle back out. To Ryan. Falls down on the 3. No foul called, and he missed it badly. Florida State with the rebound. Heels haven't scored in more than 2 minutes. Florida State trying to continue its momentum. Driving in and slipping was Watkins. Sends it out to Cameron Fletcher. He's cut off on the drive by Cormac Ryan. Less than a minute to go first half. Shot clock down to 12. Darren Green has hit a couple of threes. Going to pull up for a long 2. No good, and he actually turned it into a pass. And a foul is called because Jalen Washington is going to be called for breaking up the alley-oop. That's the second foul on Washington. And so now Carolina's only been called for 6 fouls, but 2 apiece on Cadeau, Baycott, and Washington. And the Carolina crowd just can't stand the foul calls when they're seeing the replay. That's 3 or 4 in a row where they just can't handle it once they see it. Tough Daney's going to get free throws out of this too. And he makes the first. Florida State's up 5. It's their largest advantage.
Tough calls, but I think that the North Carolina players kind of put themselves in bad spots and kind of gave the referee the opportunity to make that call one way or the other.
Second free throw, front iron and in. It's now an 8-0 Florida State run, and they're up by 6. This is the largest lead either team has had. Carolina only has 29 points on the board. This would be their lowest scoring half of the year by far. 34 is the previous low. R.J. Davis trying to muscle through traffic, can't finish on the floater, and now Florida State can hold for the final shot. So Carolina likely to be down here for the 3rd time at halftime this season. And first time that they've been down at halftime since that Arkansas game. 9 seconds to go. Worley checks the clock, down to 5 seconds. He's going to drive right of the lane, gets deep, scoops it up and under, can't get it to go, and the tip won't drop either. Heels get a little fortunate. That's some good looks by Florida State before the break don't go. But the Noles still going to own a 6-point halftime lead. Carolina does not score for the final 3 minutes and 18 seconds of the half. Florida State closes on an 8-0 run, and they have a 35-29 advantage at the break because of it. Dave will take you through the Wells Fargo halftime report after this. Florida State on an 8-0 run with a 6-point halftime lead from Learfield. Florida State closes the first half on an 8-0 run. The Heels have just one field goal in the last 7 minutes and 36 seconds, and Florida State with a 35-29 lead at the break. And the Seminoles going to get the ball to start the second half. Let's get to the trusted choice of the game, brought to you by the Trusted Choice Independent Insurance Agents of North Carolina, who want you to stay safe behind the wheel. Put down your phone while driving, and let's have a hands-free NC. To learn more and find an agent near you, visit trustedchoice.com/go Heels. Marcus, I would assume a lot that you feel like may be important and the Heels need to trust here in half number 2.
Definitely want to see the Tar Heels play a little bit better than they did to close out that half. But, the thing that really stands out to me is you got R.J. Davis and Armando Baycott doing what they normally do. They're 6 for 13, but Cormac Ryan and Harrison Ingram are 2 for 11 in this game. We're going to need some of those guys to really get going here.
Tar Heels have more turnovers, 7 than assists with 6. And Florida State made 5 more threes than the Tar Heels did in that half. So FSU with the ball, and they get an easy bucket to start things off. Dante Green able to get past Cormac Ryan off the ball and was found cutting to the basket for the layup. So it's now a 10-0 Florida State run going back to last half, and the Heels are down 8. R.J. Davis tries to change that and way strong on the 3. No good. This matches the largest deficit that Carolina has faced at any point this year as Florida State misses a triple. Darren Green had that one go strong, and here comes Carolina the other way as Ingram misses a quick shot. Baycott battling for the rebound, but it was him versus 3 Seminoles, and he couldn't bring it in. So here comes Florida State the other way. 37-29 as the layup rolls off, but the rebound again just outworked. Carolina got outworked by Florida State. Baba Miller came up with the loose ball rebound. And Florida State will keep possession. Now Baba Miller, really long 3, and it's good. So all of a sudden the Tar Heels are down 11. By far the largest deficit they've faced this year. Florida State's made more threes than it averages making in a game. And Carolina teetering a bit and nearly turns it over as Ryan's pass to Ingram's almost taken away. Then Ingram's pass almost taken away. He's able to get to the rim and is fouled when it's all said and done. So a good break for Carolina. And by break, I don't mean something fortunate. I mean just take a second to catch your breath as Florida State has been the aggressor here in the first 90 seconds. The foul's on Worley, his second. It'll put Ingram at the line. Ingram has just 2 points in this game. He came in averaging 15. So all of a sudden, Tar Heels down 40-29 with 18:31 to go. And Ingram knocks in the free throws flat, but was able to get over that front iron and right through the net, 40-30. Carolina came in this game averaging 87.5 points per contest. And after Ingram's 2 free throws, they have 31 with 18:31 to go. Carolina crowd a little antsy, trying to help out the Heels. Florida State's led by as many as 11, currently up 9. Watkins had such a big first half, barrels his way to the lane, missed the runner. Baycott with the rebound. Tar Heels trying to run. Ingram has to slow it up. Ends up to R.J. Davis. Extra pass, and he sailed it. There wasn't anybody there.
Nobody there.
He threw it to the right corner, and there was no one there. I don't know if he just got confused by the bench or if he thought someone was supposed to be there. And Carolina looked like it was going to have a fast break opportunity. Instead, a messy turnover. 2 minutes gone by. Florida State's 6-point lead is now 9. They led by 6 at the break. Baba Miller, tough runner on the baseline left, gets the roll. Baba Miller up to 12. That ties his career high. So Florida State putting on some impressive play on both ends and has the lead by 11. Something's got to be different for Carolina. Making some shots would help, but Davis comes up way short on the right side three-pointer. He's now 4 of 10 from the floor. Carolina is 2 of 13 from 3. Florida State will try another 3 and make it. Deontay Green, his first 3 of the season. Florida State has made 9 3-pointers in 17 attempts. They are close to blowing Carolina out. It's a 14-point game. Cormac Ryan is fouled trying to answer the 3. Missed it from the corner. But he is fouled and is going to have a chance for 3 shots. We got multiple Florida State players standing up here in front of us. So I'm not sure who that foul was called on for Florida State. It's on Worley, his third. And that will give Ryan 3 free throws. So Florida State, 9 of 17 from three-point range. They came in shooting 35% as a team as Ryan hits the free throw. Now, they've had some games where they've had big game shooting. They made 11 against Kennesaw State and 12 against Central Michigan. They've already made 9 here as Ryan, just his second miss of the season on his second free throw. 45-32 the score. Carolina down 13 with 17:10 to go. Ryan trying to get 2 of these 3 free throws and stop the bleeding a little bit. Florida State has outscored the Heels 10-3 to start this half. Smith Center grows quiet as Cormac Ryan's third free throw is good. So he goes 2 of 3 at the stripe. He has 5 points. More importantly, Carolina needs some stops here. Florida State's been able to get to the rim and either convert or kick it out for open looks from 3. Watkins on the left wing. Passes the left sideline to Darren Green. Green around a screen. Baycott switches on him. That's a mismatch. He's going to fire up a guarded 3. No good. Good box out by Cormac Ryan to get the rebound. He'll pitch it to Ingram. Carolina trying to push the pace. Ingram, nice spin move to the cup, and he banks it home. Ingram full speed ahead, then hit the B button to spin away, and it's 45-35. Carolina within 10, trying to get a little juice. 16:25 to go in the second half. Chandler Jackson. Carolina switching all screens. Jackson drives, long pitch out to the right side. Extra pass goes in the corner for another 3. Cameron Fletcher. He had been 4 of 16 from 3 this year. Florida State unconscious from behind the arc, 10 of 19. 3 of 5 this half. It's 48-35. Cadeau, as Carolina picking up the tempo a little bit. Tries to bounce it to Baycott and a foul. It's going to be on Gainey, his second, Jalen Gainey. Third foul on Florida State this half, but the Seminoles have scored 13 points in the first 4 minutes and 4 seconds of the second half, including 3 3-pointers. They now have 10 made threes. Carolina has 12 field goals total. Florida State up 13 with 15:56 to go from Learfield. Florida State 48, Carolina 35. The Seminoles have outscored the Tar Heels 13-6 this half, thanks in part to 3 3-pointers, 3 of the 10 that the Seminoles have made, with 15:56 still to go. Our broadcast today presented by Continental Tire. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires. For a dealer near you, go to ContinentalTire.com. And Modelo, proud to sponsor Carolina basketball. Modelo is an official beer of the Tar Heels. The most threes that Carolina has given up in a game this year is 13. Lehigh made 13 in the second game of the season. Florida State has 12 right now, has 10 right now. The most they've made all year in a game is 12. That came against Central Michigan. I mean, Marcus, this is a team that was 16 of 49 from 3 in the last 2 games, so about 32%. 10 of 19 right now. Are they getting too good of looks? Are they hot? Combination of it all.
I think it's a combination of it all, and what really worried me going into the end of the first half was just that momentum that they were gaining in the first half on an 8-0 run, which just continued in the second half. They're gaining more and more confidence every time they make a shot. North Carolina's got to do a better job of getting stops.
Yeah, it's a good point. You add in that 8-0 run, and this is a 21-6 push for Florida State since it was 29-27 Carolina late in the first half. Since then, 21-6 Florida State, and that's how they're up by 13. And the Tar Heels are cold shooting, particularly from the perimeter. R.J. Davis drives right to the lane, out to Cadeau. His 3 is blocked, but he's able to recover the loose ball. Shot clock did not reset. Kicks it in the right corner to Ingram. He airballs the 3, and it was Florida State had the rebound. It was going to be a shot clock violation, but they fumbled the rebound out of bounds. And so Carolina is going to get the ball. The officials are going to talk about it. I think the question is, did Florida State have possession of the rebound? Because no Tar Heel shot hit the rim. And the officials are going to come to the monitor to take a look. So they're going to go under the hood, presented by the Honda dealers of the Carolinas. Take your Tar Heel tailgate to the next level with a new Honda. See your Honda dealer of the Carolinas today. So question is, did Florida State have possession of the rebound, which would have reset the shot clock before it was fumbled out of bounds? Because Carolina did not hit the rim. Cadeau had a shot blocked, and then Ingram's desperation three from the corner was too strong. So Tar Heels still have just one field goal this half. They are 1 of 6 from the field. Florida State is 5 of 9. And they have deemed it was a shot clock violation. And so Florida State going to have the basketball as the officials determined that they did not have possession before the ball went out of bounds. 15:34 to go. The Tar Heels in trouble, down 13. Largest lead for FSU has been 14, which was the largest deficit Carolina had faced all year. Tar Heels had not trailed by more than 8 all season as the Heels tip away a pass in the backcourt, doubling up a new Seminole, Tom House, who checked into the game, a sophomore from Dayton, Ohio. So Carolina trying to get some defensive pressure here. See if it can get a possession back. Inbounds to House. He's in trouble and turns it over to Cormac Ryan, who gets it to Ingram, and he's fouled going to the rim. So the pressure nearly forced a turnover on the previous sequence, and then they get the turnover. The foul's on Chandler Jackson, his first. 4th on Florida State, and Ingram to the line. So Marcus Carolina is trying to do something to get things turned around a little bit.
I think that's a great call by Hubert Davis and the coaching staff to get the guys involved, get them active, up, pressing up.
You heard Ingram screaming as soon as he let the ball go. He was mad that he knew it was off as soon as he shot it. Tar Heels at the free throw line are 9 of 12 in the ball game, 4 of 6 this half. One more coming for Ingram. Fletcher and Jackson check out for Florida State. Worley and Watkins return. Ingram goes 1 of 2, but it's still a 12-point deficit at 48-36. Carolina's still just one field goal this half. Florida State gets by the pressure this time. 15-19 to go. Still plenty of time, but Carolina's got to get some stops. Florida State is 5 of 9 shooting this half, including 3 made threes. Worley on the perimeter trying to drive by Cadeau. Still working against him. Pivots, turns, hooks, short. Baycott with the rebound. He'll wait for traffic to clear. Needs somebody to come get the ball. He takes a couple dribbles forward and gets it to Cormac Ryan. Tar Heels have made just 2 3-pointers in 15 attempts today. Ingram thought about one. Instead, passes it down low to Baycott. He is fouled. Can't get the bucket to roll in, but he is going to go to the line. The foul is on Deontay Green, his second. That is the 5th foul on Florida State this half. And more free throws coming for Baycott to try to, if he makes them both, cut this down to a 10-point deficit, currently losing 48-36.
You know, Jones, you talked about the shooting woes of North Carolina this afternoon. I think that we'd be much better served getting the ball inside, having Armando Baycott draw a foul, get to the free throw line, and continue to shoot threes where we're shooting a 13% clip right now.
Yeah, 2 of 15 from 3. Carolina, 4 of its 6 shots this half have been from 3. They haven't made one, period. They've missed their last 10 3-point attempts. Baycott makes both free throws, though. He's up to 8 points to go along with 11 rebounds. Smith Center crowd trying to get a little juice in the Tar Heels. Florida State breaks the pressure, gets it to Baba Miller. Miller trying to back in against the much smaller R.J. Davis. Just muscles his way to the cup. Oh, that ball was tipped on the rim, and it's going to be disallowed as Deontay Green with an offensive basket interference, tipping the ball as Baba Miller's hook was hanging on the iron. 48-38. Inbounds goes to Cadeau. Florida State with some backcourt pressure, too, just to try and burn off a couple extra seconds here as they're up 10 with 14:26 to play. Ingram back to the basket, high post. Over to R.J. Davis on the left wing. He's going to attack, draw the foul, flip it up off the iron or off the window, but it didn't go. He will go to the free throw line. Foul is on Darren Green, his first. It's already the 6th foul on Florida State this half, as Carolina's been aggressively going to the rim here as of late, either with passes or penetration. And now Davis will have 2 shots at the free throw line with 14:20 to go. 48-38 the score. Now 48-39 as Davis hits the free throw. Trimble will enter, and Cadeau will get a breather. Still just 1 field goal this half for Carolina, but this will be the 11th free throw attempt of the half for the Tar Heels. 14:20 to go. Davis to try and get Carolina back within 8, and he does. 48-40. Baba Miller against the pressure. Into Chandler Jackson. Trimble is there. And Trimble's called for a foul. Must have dropped his hand and picked up the foul. His first on Carolina this half. He becomes just the 4th different Tar Heel with a foul. Cadeau, Baycott, and Washington all with 2. 48-40 Florida State. Carolina with the pressure. Inbounds goes to Darren Green. Oh, I thought he double dribbled. He dribbled it, picked it up, dribbled again, but he must have just fumbled it down. Florida State having trouble getting in front side. It is tipped, but Chandler Jackson comes up with the loose ball to Baba Miller, and he gets the alley-oop finish to Deontay Green. Green has been huge this half with 7, which is just about his season average. Florida State back up 10, 50-40. Carolina desperate for a 3, but Cormac Ryan's triple pops out. Carolina 0 of 5 this half, 2 of 16 for the game. Florida State's made 10. Carolina's made 2 from behind the arc. Driving in is Watkins. He'll send it out. Teammate 3 is an air ball. Baba Miller missed everything. Here comes Carolina. Cormac Ryan with the heels down 10. Has it taken away. It's going to be a run-out dunk on the other end for Watkins. Boy, the Tar Heels out of sync and in trouble, down 12. They had cut it to 8, but now it's 52-40 Florida State. The Noles have outscored Carolina 17-11 this half after leading by 6 at the break. And with their defense, it is hard to come back. Ingram trying to drive, cut off, sends it out to Trimble, to Ryan. He'll try another 3 and knock one in from the right wing. Carolina finally gets a long ball to go, stopping a stretch of 11 consecutive misses from behind the arc. 52-43. Tar Heels down 9, trying to get a defensive stop. Deontay Green, who's played well this half. Handoff to Jackson. Handoff to Darren Green. Left-handed dribble. Backs up to Watkins. Shot clock down to 6. Watkins around the perimeter. Switch has Baycott guarding him. Over to Darren Green. Green, pull up. Tough 3. Nothing but backboard. The rebound caroms to Baycott, but it'll be a shot clock violation. The Noles will send in 3 new players. Carolina brings in Withers. He'll replace Ingram. So the Heels have Davis, Trimble, Ryan, Withers, and Baycott. Full court pressure for Florida State. 52-43. The Noles closed the first half on an 8-0 run to go up 6 at the break. And now shooting 50% this half. They've stretched the lead to as many as 14. Currently 9. Ryan trying to take Nickelberry front side. Now gives it to R.J. Davis once he crosses the timeline. Bounce pass to Baycott. High post back to the basket. Over to Withers. Back to Ryan. Trying another 3. Online but too strong. Rebound tipped out by Withers but to Florida State. Hustling the other way as Fletcher has it taken away by Ryan. To R.J. Davis. Push ahead to Trimble. He'll fly to the rim and lay it home. 52-45. Carolina by 7. Smith Center crowd trying to urge another stop. Handoff to Darren Green behind a screen. Misses the 3 strong. Offensive rebound, though, Florida State. The putback is blocked. Baycott out of there with it. He'll give it to R.J. Davis. Carolina down 7, trying to get closer. Davis all the way to the cup for the layup. Heels within 5. 52-47. Pressure in the backcourt. Fletcher eases up to Worley. I think Leonard Hamilton wanted a timeout originally. Now he's not going to take it. 52-47. Nickelberry on the right side for Florida State. Pulls up for the long, tough two and rattles it home. Big bucket for Nickelberry, the veteran, with his first basket of the game. 54-47. See if Carolina can keep the momentum going. Trimble is fouled as he aggressively went to the rim. Can't get the layup to go, but it's another foul on Florida State. The second on Darren Green Jr., the seventh on the Seminoles. So Carolina's going to be in the bonus the rest of the game, including Trimble for 2 shots when we come back. So Tar Heels have trailed by as many as 14. They cut it down to 5, currently down 7, and Trimble will have 2 shots when we return. 54-47 Florida State, 10:57 to go from Learfield.
All the action, all season long. This is Carolina basketball.
Reminder, after the game, we'll have our Best in the Game feature brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line. That's our player of the game. Old Dominion Freight Line works hard to be the best in the game and is proud to support those striving to be the best in theirs. Carolina has trailed by as many as 14 in this game. Cut it down to 5, now down 7, 54-47. Seth Trimble will be at the free throw line. Marcus, 2 things. 1, still 7 of Carolina's 11 field goal attempts this half have been threes. Now, field goal is not counted as an attempt if you get fouled shooting a shot and it doesn't go in. So Carolina's also gotten to the free throw line a bunch. This will be the 12th and 13th free throw of the half. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, Carolina comes into this game averaging 12.5 second chance points per game. Heels have 0 with 10:57 to go. Got to get some second chance opportunities here if you're not going to make your shots.
And I think that kind of goes back to, you said earlier, North Carolina needs to make more shots. Well, I think taking better shots helps you make more shots, and that also gives you a chance to get offensive rebounds. Players are in positions where they know that the shot's being taken, and I think it also says that we need to be working a little bit harder. You said that we were getting outworked earlier, and that's something that just can't happen out here on the basketball court.
So Trimble, 9 of 14 on the season at the free throw line, will have 2 shots here. That is 64%, the 9 of 14. 10:57 to go. Carolina's down by as many as 14. Cut it to 5, and now down 6 as Trimble gets front iron, backboard and in. He now has 5 points in the ball game. 54-48. Davis, Trimble, Ryan, Ingram, and Baycott, the 5 on the floor. Man, that second one popped out. Front iron, back iron, and out. Carolina some pressure. Florida State just able to beat the 10-second clock and get it front side. 54-48. That was the halftime deficit for Carolina. 6. It ballooned to 14. Back to 6. Baba Miller. Jump stop left of the lane. Kicks it out to Nickelberry. Guarded 3, won't go. Rebound, though, tipped in by Deontay Green. Boy, he was able... Ingram had a good box out on him, but Green just able to get a long arm up there and slap it in. He has 9 all this half. That's more than he averages per game. Florida State is playing above what they have shown so far this year, but what surprise is that? They're in the Smith Center looking for a big win as Carolina has a pass tipped out of bounds. It'll stay with the Heels. Cadeau enters and Ryan exits. So the Heels go pretty small here. Cadeau, Davis, Trimble, Ingram, and Baycott. 56-48 with 10:10 to go. Still a long way to go, but man, it feels like these possessions are big right now. Ingram dribbling out on the perimeter, finally finds R.J. Davis. Shot clock's getting low. Davis, tough runner over traffic, missed everything, and it's going to be another shot clock violation. Ingram had the ball out on the perimeter for a long time, and all of a sudden the shot clock was getting low by the time Davis got it back. Heels down 8. 56-48. See if they can marry some stops and buckets together here. Florida State breaks the pressure but misses a 3. Long rebound again, bounces off a Tar Heel, and Florida State's going to get another opportunity. Boy, you can't, it's hard enough to get a stop. You can't give them multiple chances. Baba Miller in trouble, pinned on the sideline, able to find Worley. can't make the bucket. Another offensive rebound. Stickback won't go. Finally, Harrison Ingram ends the possession for Florida State. Cadeau the other way. Tough floating pass to Baycott. Pump fakes. Gets the easy look. Hammers it in, and he's going to draw the foul. And now the two teams doing some pushing and shoving. Baycott just shoved that one off the backboard and in. And he'll have a chance for the three-point play. So Baycott into double figures. Carolina down 6. And now I think Roger Ayers wants to look at the replay to see if something extra happened on the end of it. The foul was called on Deontay Green. That's his 3rd. And 8th on Florida State. Baycott, who normally has his hair back in a kind of a ponytail, had that taken out during that play. So after it was over, his hair was all around him. He kind of bumped in to Green as he was walking to the free throw line. Green flopped back. Then another Tar Heel got in there. Everybody started pushing and shoving. And eventually it does not appear as though anything else is going to be added on. It's just going to be Baycott to the line to try and make this a 5-point game. And Marcus, Carolina Tar Heels are pushing hard here. Can't let the emotions take them out of good basketball.
You know, you talked about 10 minutes to play, a minute ago almost here, and how much time that is, but they need to play better. And when I'm looking at the last scores from Carolina, we're talking about free throws. We had that 1-3 from Cormac Ryan. We had R.J. Davis in transition, Trimble in transition, and now Baycott running a rim run and one at the basket. Free throw to come. Just want to see this North Carolina team start to attack the basket a little bit more.
Watkins going to enter. Jalen Washington waiting to come in for Baycott if he makes this free throw. 9:18 to play. Florida State led by 6 at the half, as many as 14 in this half. Baycott trying to make it a 5-point deficit for the Tar Heels. And he does. So he will get a breather. Big minutes coming for Jalen Washington, as Baycott will go to the bench with the Tar Heels down 5. Long pitch ahead pass gets to Nickelberry. Tar Heels able to recover defensively. Florida State working around the perimeter. Baba Miller. And a foul on Jalen Washington as he and Trimble tried to double up Miller on the sideline. Jalen knew it. Clapped his hands, frustrated. That's 3 on Washington. But just the 2nd on the Tar Heels this half. 9:08 to go. 56-51 Florida State. Inbounds goes to Worley. On the right sideline, Nickelberry. Nickelberry dribbles to the top of the key, over to Worley on the left side. To Baba Miller. His 3 too strong. Rebound pulled down by Ingram. He'll get it to R.J. Davis. Head up as he comes front side on the left to a trailing Ingram. Carolina down 5 with the ball. Ingram bounces to Cadeau. Cadeau wanted to attack, whips a pass to Davis. Pump fake for 3. Gonna drive. Kicks it out to Cadeau. Extra pass to Ingram. Right corner triple. No. Washington battling for the rebound. It's off of Florida State. This is not the most offensive lineup that Carolina has, with Cadeau, Davis, Trimble, Ingram, and Washington out there. And they need points. Down 5. Tar Heels now 3 of 19 from 3-point range. 1 of 8 this half. 20 on the shot clock as the inbounds goes to Ingram. To Davis. He'll try a 3. Yes! RJ for the triple. 56-54. Inbounds in the corner. Florida State breaks the pressure. Carolina's got to get back defensively. Nickelberry, front side, will circle out. Heels back within 2. They've trailed by as many as 14. Chandler Jackson drives on the right. Floater, missed everything in R.J. Davis's hands. Heels can tie or take the lead. Bounce to Trimble, to the cup. Tie ball game, 56-all. Heels pressure in the backcourt. Florida State tipped away by Cadeau into Davis's hands. Carolina can take the lead. Davis eases it up to Ingram. He'll reset. R.J. Davis attacking on the left side to the rim, and his shot is rejected into the seats by Florida State, but Carolina will keep possession after this timeout. So the Tar Heels on an 8-0 run have erased a 14-point deficit in total and now have it tied up at 56 with 7:41 to go. Carolina will have the ball, 18 on the shot clock when we come back. It's all tied up. Brand new ball game in the Smith Center from Learfield. Florida State led 45-31 at the 17:25 mark. That was the largest advantage the Seminoles had. Carolina has come back to tie it at 56 with 7:41 to play, and the Tar Heels will have the ball inbounding with 18 on the shot clock. Carolina basketball on the Tar Heel Sports Network, brought to you in part by Fairfield by Marriott, part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels, a proud partner of Carolina Athletics. Let's take a look at some stats presented by Lenovo, Lenovo.com. Lenovo, smarter technology for all. Carolina on this 8-0 run. Florida State has missed its last 5 shots. Has made just one of its last 7 and has not scored in nearly 3 minutes. Carolina is 7 of 17 from the field this half, but 5 of 8 when shooting a 2. Plus they've taken 14 free throws. So as Marcus has been hammering home correctly, when Carolina has been getting to the rim and taking higher percentage shots, it has paid off well for them, either with makes or fouls or both. They have hit a couple threes finally after going through a stretch of missing 11 straight. The Tar Heels have made 2 of their last 4 from behind the arc, including a big one from R.J. Davis. So, Marcus, all adds up to a tie game. 7:41 to go.
I mean, you got to feel good right now, being down as much as they were to fight back and get to where they are here. But, again, 7 minutes and 41 seconds to play. There's still a lot of basketball. North Carolina's got to continue to play like they have the last couple minutes.
Trimble almost hands it to Cadeau on the inbounds on the sideline. Tar Heels, you would think, have a play drawn up, and it's going to be Cadeau crossing over. The whistle blew as the ball was kicked. Hubert Davis telling Cadeau, look, man, just go take that one. He had crossed over and driven right of the lane. I think he had a chance for a layup. He tried to make a nice pass to Baycott when it was kicked. That'll reset the shot clock to 20, and Carolina inbounding. Cadeau having some trouble, and his inbounds is slapped right back at him by Fletcher. Tar Heels will try again. Cadeau, long inbounds, goes into the backcourt where Trimble finally is able to get it. Tar Heels have the ball. Hands off to Cadeau. Cadeau, crossover, drive to the rim, and this time he finishes from the left side. Boy, he just went right by his defender and laid it home. 58-56. Hubert Davis said, look, son, go score if you can, as the inbound is tipped, and R.J. Davis comes out of there with it. Tar Heels up 2 with the basketball. He fumbles it, but into Baycott's hand. Right back to Davis for 3 off the iron. No, Ingram keeps it alive. He has the rebound. He'll go up. Give him the bucket and the foul. Carolina up 4. Ingram to the line. Nobody's outworking the Heels now, baby. The foul is on Cameron Fletcher, his first. That's the 9th foul on Florida State. So the Heels will be in the double bonus the rest of the way. This is 1 free throw for Ingram.
And Jones, not only does that effort play get the fans fired up, it gets your team fired up.
Got Marcus fired up.
Got me fired up over here.
Free throw good. 61-56. This pressure is bothering Florida State. They nearly turn it over again. As the inbounds goes to Jackson, he tried to split the double team, and when he did so, the foul's called on Ingram, his first. Just the 3rd, though, on Carolina this half. So the Heels can still be aggressive with this defense, should they choose to do so, due to the lack of team fouls. And Washington is the only player that has more than 2. He has 3. He's on the bench currently. 7 minutes to go. It's a 13-0 Carolina run. 61-56, Heels by 5. Florida State gets it into Fletcher in the corner. Eases it up with the pass to Watkins. Boy, Watkins, that's a backcourt. He had gone front side, but it is not called as Florida State able to save it. Ends up to Chandler Jackson. His tough runner won't go. Cadeau amongst the trees brings down the rebound. Heels up by 5 with the ball. Cadeau right by his defender again. Give him the bucket. They cannot stay in front of the rookie. 63-56. Heels by 7. Florida State having trouble getting it in. They turn it over. R.J. Davis with the steal and the layup. Carolina rolling the Seminoles. Timeout, Florida State. This is a 15-0 run. You can stretch it out to 34-11. 6:22 to go. FSU's timeout will stretch to a full. All of a sudden, Carolina's up 9 from Learfield.
All the action, all season long. This is Carolina basketball.
Carolina, I said 15-0 before the break. It's a 17-0 run for Carolina and 34-11. If you stretch it out, the Heels have trailed by as many as 14, now lead by 9, 65-56 with 6:22 to go. Harris Teeter's the official grocery store of the Tar Heels and offers everything you need for the perfect game day. From subs to pizza to snacks and drinks, they have you covered. Plus, they offer great ways to save every day with fuel points, EVIC, and HT+. Visit harristeeter.com for more info. Marcus, this full court pressure from Carolina has really caused Florida State some trouble, whether it is just forcing them to really work to get it front side. There have been some steals. There have been some mistakes by the Noles, and it has really aided in this Tar Heel comeback.
It absolutely has, Jones. But, I think about this as even more than that. You talked about them getting outworked early. Now they're starting to outwork Florida State. The effort plays, but Coach Davis said in the beginning of the game, pregame, he said, make routine plays routinely. And while everybody's excited right now, North Carolina's playing great basketball, they're doing all the things that North Carolina is supposed to do. Attacking the glass, knocking down open shots, playing with a high level of intensity, defending the basketball, rebounding. These are all the things that they're supposed to do routinely, and they're doing them, and that just makes everything roll just like they are right now.
Points off turnovers. Carolina has 18 points off of 12 Florida State turnovers. A big part of this comeback, but there's still 6:22 to go here. That timeout by Florida State leaves them with 1. The Heels have 3 for the rest of the second half. Inbounds to Deontay Green and nearly turns it over again. His pass was errant, but it ends up to Florida State, and the tough runner won't go. And then a rebounding foul called on Florida State. Got blocked out. Leonard Hamilton leads the ACC in blocking the action from our seats here courtside. I think the foul was called on Worley. That's his 4th. But most importantly, that's 10 now on Florida State. So Carolina will have 2 shots at the line. It's going to be Trimble going there now. He went 1 of 2 earlier, and it's 10 of 16 on the season. 6:12 to go. Carolina 65, Florida State 56. First free throw by Trimble is right through the heart. Trimble has been a big part of this comeback. He now has 8 points, 6 this half, and he has played a majority of this second half. Carolina with this 3-guard lineup, Cadeau, Davis, and Trimble, as he makes both free throws. It has been effective. They've been out there a bunch with Ingram and Baycott. Florida State nearly turns it over. Cadeau flashed in front on the long inbound pass. Almost secured it, but he did tip it out of bounds. 6:11 to play. 67-56. Carolina by 11. Hubert Davis, almost a 6th defender right now, as Trimble is shaken up. He is going to exit. He asked to come out, and he is limping to the side. He's going to go see Doug Halverson at the end of the bench as Cormac Ryan comes in. So we're just talking about how well Trimble has played, and he's going to go to the bench right now. Baba Miller, long inbounds from the sideline in front of the benches to the other side. Florida State working in the half court. Watkins between the circles. R.J. Davis guarding him. Watkins got in the shooting posture, didn't take it. Puts a dribble to the ground. Handoff pass to Baba Miller. Miller trying to drive against Cadeau on the left. Miller backing in. Turnaround is no good. And a rebounding foul is going to be called. Oh, it's called on Cadeau on the shot, so not on the rebound. After that shot didn't go in, Justin Porterfield blew his whistle and said there was a foul on Cadeau. Oof. That's the third on Cadeau. He becomes the second Tar Heel with 3 fouls. And Baba Miller, 2 of 3 on the season at the line. He's taken just 1 free throw in the last 5 games. Will be there here for 2 shots. And off the back iron, no good. Hit the back iron way up in the air and then tipped off the right side of the rim. Tar Heel fans want crumble cookies. They all get a coupon for one if he misses both.
I want my coupon.
Get some cookies.
Let's go.
Missed them both. Rebound to Cormac Ryan. Here comes Carolina. Cadeau. Boy, he has been so good. Whips it over to Davis, right back to the freshman, middle of the floor. Oh, Cadeau on a yo-yo with the ball. Pitches to Ryan. Back out to Cadeau. Pass was tipped. Carolina's going to reset. Cadeau, pump fake. Gets Baba Miller in the air. Cadeau drives in. Tried to flip it up over the challenge of Deontay Green. Too high. Rebound to Florida State. Still Heels by 11. As Worley to a trailing Green can't finish. Baycott with the rebound. Here comes Carolina the other way. Heels up 11. R.J. Davis drops it off to Baycott. Has to recover. He fumbled it for a moment, but once he got it, he knew what to do. Jams it in with 2 hands. Carolina by 13, 69-56. 5:02 to go. Darren Green over to Worley. And Florida State takes its last timeout. The Noles are out of timeouts with 4:57 to go. This is now a 21-0 Carolina run. And the Tar Heels lead by 13 at 69-56. This is a 1-minute timeout. So the 60-second break called by Florida State. So they're out. Carolina has 3. The possession arrow belongs to the Tar Heels, and the fouls, only 4 called on Carolina this half. 10 have been whistled on Florida State, which means the Heels will be shooting 2 shots on every foul the rest of the way. Jones Angel and Marcus Ginyard here with you in the Smith Center. Florida State closed the first half on an 8-0 run and held Carolina to its lowest scoring half of the year to lead it by 6 at the break. Then all of a sudden, Florida State came out like gangbusters out of the halftime locker room, stretched that lead to as large as 14 points at 45-31. Carolina slowly started whittling it down, and now the Heels have exploded. 21-0 run over the last 4:21, spurred by some very aggressive full-court defense. R.J. Davis has 20 points, 5th time this year, and 4th consecutive game that he's had 20 or more. 17th time in his career. 13 points and 13 rebounds for Baycott. His 4th double-double, 72nd of his career. 10 points, 5 rebounds for Ingram. Trimble has 9. Cormac Ryan 8. Cadeau has been controlling the action. 6 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds for him. So Florida State out of timeouts now, trying to stop a 21-0 Carolina run with 4:57 to go. The Heels up 13 at 69-56. Watkins will be the inbounder near the FSU bench. Trimble has not returned since taking himself out with what appeared to be an injury. Cormac Ryan is in for the Heels right now. Watkins behind a couple of screens over to Cameron Fletcher, the Kentucky transfer. Drives into the paint, has a shot blocked by Baycott. Cadeau is fouled as he recovers the loose ball. That is another block for the Tar Heels. The foul is on Deontay Green. Oh, there's a Seminole hurt as well. Cameron Fletcher is down under the rim. The foul was on Deontay Green, his 4th. So 2 free throws coming for Cadeau after Fletcher gets attended to. And Fletcher, has a huge brace on that right knee. He tore his ACL 10 games into the season last year.
And it looks like he's
holding that same knee. Gosh, you hope for him that it is not some kind of reoccurrence of that injury, as the Kentucky transfer, Carolina actually saw him when he was at Kentucky. That really weird game they played in Cleveland during the COVID season when nobody was there, and it was such an odd year in total. And Fletcher didn't have the experience he wanted there, transferred to Florida State, has played well in his healthy time with the Noles, but gosh, I hate to see he's shaken up. Doug Halverson now Tar Heel trainer has gone over to help as well. And Roger Ayers is going to go ahead and say, even though there's 4:41 to go, that the officials are going to go ahead and take the under 4 timeout with this long break as they check on the health of Fletcher. So we'll take it with them. 69-56. Carolina's up 13 with 4:41 to go from Learfield. Cameron Fletcher just now off the court as he had 2 teammates help him as he really labored to put any weight on that right leg, which is the one that has the heavy brace on it. And he is now moving through the visitors' tunnel into the back here in the Smith Center, presumably to get him to the locker room. And, again, just tough. I mean, hate to see anybody get hurt, but especially a young man that had fought back from an ACL tear and was back and contributing for the team. And, yeah, he had said some in the offseason about how beneficial. He said he thought that time off actually helped him. He could see the game a little differently. That, Marcus, you had a long-term injury. You know about that watching the game from a different perspective. And, unfortunately, Fletcher is in what appears to be a great amount of pain and making his way back. From the Tar Heel injury perspective, Trimble has left the bench and gone to the back. And Dr. Alex Creighton, one of the team doctors for Carolina, has gone back with him. So don't know if that's precautionary or not. We will learn a little more after the game, I'm sure. Let me quickly remind you that the Good Feet store is a sponsor of Carolina. Foot, knee, hip, or back pain. Good Feet Arch Support's engineered to support all 4 arches to provide pain relief, balance, and comfort. Try them for yourself. Book your free fitting today at goodfeet.com. Cadeau has 2 free throws. The first one's too strong. Let's break 10 seconds for station ID. Heels up 69-56, 4:41 to go. Down the lines on the Tar Heel Sports Network. Cadeau makes the second free throw, so 70-56. Carolina by 14. And the Heels sticking with that full court pressure. Florida State able to break it and get a foul on the other side. Deontay Green gets fouled driving on the left by Cormac Ryan. First foul on Ryan, 5th on Carolina. That will result in free throws for Green. Florida State still has not made a field goal in a while. They're 0 of their last 9 and do not have points in nearly 6 minutes. That will change if Green can make a free throw here. He is a 63% shooter, but 6 of 7 last game and gets Florida State a point at the line. So 70-57. Seth Trimble has returned to the bench for Carolina as the second free throw no good and knocked out of bounds by Florida State. So Carolina will have possession. FSU going to pick up full court. 4:33 to go. Heels 70, Florida State 57. Carolina going to have to try and get it in against this FSU pressure, and Cormac Ryan can't do it, has to take a timeout. So the Tar Heels, which they've been using pressure so effectively, have to take a timeout because of Florida State's pressure. Heels have 2 left. Florida State is out of timeouts. Possession arrow to Carolina, and the foul situation, Tar Heels in the double bonus. Tar Heels have been whistled for 5 fouls, so Florida State would still need 2 more on the Heels before they get into the bonus. So Marcus, not done yet, but Carolina has done a good job here, down 14 at one point. Now on a 22-1 run over the last 4:45, spurred by some really good defense. They had 5 steals in the midst of this big comeback, which all resulted in points. Man, it's been a furious return here from Carolina.
Fantastic job by the Tar Heels, just kind of kicking it into high gear. Would have loved to have seen that kind of energy from the beginning, but, hey, they got to the point where they could look at each other and say, hey, look, it's time to go. It's time to get this thing going, and they certainly have.
Still 4:33 to play. We have taken the 4-minute timeout as well, so there's not going to be an under 4 timeout. We've already taken it due to the injury to Fletcher, so not expecting any more long breaks here, although the Heels do have 2 timeouts remaining. Cadeau able to get it front side after getting the inbounds against the Florida State pressure. He's tick-tocking the dribble out in the center jump circle. The lengthy Watkins guarding him. Carolina content to burn a little clock. Shot clock gets down to 10. Cadeau going to drive left Whips it out to R.J. Davis. Pump fake on the three. Drops it down to Baycott. Hook shot from the right. No. Ingram tried to dunk in the finish. Couldn't get it. Gets his rebound back again. Goes back up in traffic and can't score. Couple of good looks there for Carolina, but they couldn't get one to drop. And now Darren Green going to try a transition three and knock it in. So Florida State back within 10 as Green hits his first bucket of the second half. 70-60 with 3:45 to go. Cadeau will slow things up again. Tar Heels had good looks on that last sequence, but couldn't get one to go. 70-60. Cadeau trying to cross over past Watkins. Gets deep and lost the ball, tipped out by Florida State. It will stay with Carolina with 7 on the shot clock. R.J. Davis is not being guarded right now in the right corner. Now Florida State realizes it. 7 on the shot clock. Heel's going to have to get something quickly, and the inbounds is taken away. Worley with the tip, the steal, and the dunk. And just like that, FSU back within 8.
Now the third time they've had trouble getting the ball in. Ball out of bounds underneath.
Inbounds goes to R.J. Davis. So now Florida State on a 6-0 run. They've cut Carolina's 14-point lead down to 8. 3 minutes to play. Davis in the center jump circle, guarded by Worley. Bounce pass to Baycott. Outside the arc on the right wing. Back to the basket. And a foul is called on Worley off the ball for holding Ingram, and that's 5 on Worley. First time he's fouled out this year. He will exit with 4 points with 2:53 to go. And that will put Ingram to the line for 2 shots. Trying to stop this 6-0 run by Florida State. Well, now everybody's going to come to the bench for a second. .253 to play. Ingram at the free throw line for 2 shots. Carolina was down by as many as 14, then a huge run got them up 14. But Florida State on a 6-0 spurt to cut it down to 8, with Ingram now at the line for 2 free throws with 2:53 to go. And makes the first. Carolina 21 of 26 as a team at the free throw line. 16 of 20 this half. Second one short by Ingram. He knew it right when he shot it. 71-62. It's a 9-point Carolina lead. Florida State working in the half court. Watkins to Baba Miller between the circles to the dangerous Darren Green. Over to Jackson. Jackson going to get a foul called on Davis out on the perimeter. First on Davis. That's the 6th on Carolina. So just an inbound for Florida State with 2:38 to go. 71-62. Carolina by 9. Tar Heels don't have a field goal in the last 2:34. Watkins to inbounds on the far sideline. Gets it into Baba Miller in the corner. He'll dribble up the right sideline for FSU. Out in the middle of the floor, it goes to Jackson. Florida State looks a little out of sorts where they want their players positioned. There's now Jackson going to go. Drives on Ingram. A foul is called, and Ingram going to pick up the foul. Jackson nearly got the shot to go, but it rolled out. But Jackson, an excellent free throw shooter at 9 of 10 on the year, will go to the line. That's also 7 fouls on Carolina now. So Florida State has gotten into the bonus. But this will be 2 shots due to the action by Jackson. He's made 7 straight this year. And it stops there as that one came up short. Still 71-62 with 2:25 to go. 3 dribbles, a spin. And Jackson does make the second. 71-63. Florida State will pick up with full court pressure. Carolina gets it into R.J. Davis. He'll wait for everybody to head back the other way. 2:20 to go. Davis comes up the front side on the right. 20 on the shot clock. Davis still working on the right side of the court. Bounces down to Baycott. Triple team is there. And Baycott lost the ball. Hubert Davis screaming at him to make a better decision, as the other way is a layup by Watkins. 2 minutes to go, and Florida State's back within 6. Cadeau in the backcourt. Smith Center crowd nervous as Carolina came back from 14 down to lead by 14, but has seen the lead whittled down to 6. Carolina does not have a field goal in the last 3:10. Minute 40 to go. 10 on the shot clock for R.J. Davis between the circles. Davis in the corner. It goes to Cormac Ryan. Back out to Davis. A really long three. Yes! Long distance. Put on the 3 goggles, young man. 74-65. Carolina back up by 9. Deontay Green. Hard drive. Got by Cadeau and laid it in. Green has been effective this half. Minute 12 to go. 7-point Tar Heel lead. Carolina gets it into R.J. Davis. They have 2 timeouts, but he's able to break the pressure to Cadeau. He'll pitch it to Ingram, and now the Heels slow it down. To a trailing Cormac Ryan, now to Davis. 1 minute to play. 74-67 Carolina. R.J. Davis out of the timeline. Chandler Jackson asking if he should foul. And Coach Hamilton originally said no, then he says yes. So Jackson fouls R.J. Davis. His second, and that'll put Davis to the line for 2 shots. R.J. Davis with 23 points. He has 103 points in the last 4 games for Carolina, with a chance to add to it here at the Strike. Davis to the line. 52.8 to play. Gets the shooter's roll. Front iron, backboard, and in. Davis 5 of 5 today. (75-67). Carolina by 8. Carolina by 9. Davis up to 25. 76-67. 50 seconds to go as Watkins comes front side. He's just going to try a long distance triple. No good. Rebound, Cormac Ryan. Ryan in the backcourt. Trying to fight through traffic. Gets it to R.J. Davis. Davis weaving front side. Crosses the timeline. Florida State's going to have to foul here. And finally, Baba Miller does with 34.7 to go. Carolina is on the verge of completing a massive comeback here. Down by 14 in the second half. Davis going to the line with the Heels up 9 and 34.7 to play. 25 for R.J. Davis. And, Marcus, that 3, a big one a moment ago.
Absolutely. I had my 3 goggles on as well. R.J. Davis having a big-time afternoon. Everybody knew that he was going to be one of those guys this year, and I think that he's really just taking it upon himself to make sure that he's one of those guys that in this moment is leading us here in the second half.
Makes both free throws, so it's up to 78-67, and RJ is up to 27 points. That's 107 points now in the last 4 games. Darren Green will try a step-back 3 and swish it home. Boy, he can really shoot it. That's his 4th made 3 today. Florida State has matched their season high of 12 made 3s. The inbounds is tipped, but then Green picked up the loose ball on the baseline. So with 25.5 to go, Carolina will inbound again. Up 8, 78-70 after Green's 3. Cormac Ryan complaining that Florida State's reaching over the baseline. Ryan got to take a timeout. He could not run the baseline there, and he was deep in the corner to try and inbound it. That's a tough spot. We talked about that some last game. And so Carolina is going to take its penultimate timeout with 25.5 to go and a 78-70 lead over FSU. A couple of other finals for you, including this one in the ACC, but how about Villanova lost again? They get that win in Atlantis, lost the other night, and then they lose to Drexel today by 2. Other games in the ACC earlier today, we've told you Miami beat Notre Dame, Virginia topped Syracuse. Neither one of those games were particularly close. Miami won by 13, Virginia by 22. Georgia Tech has led pretty much the whole game against Duke, and the Jackets still with a slim advantage, 62-60 in Atlanta with 3:43 to go. Boston College and State just getting started. BC with a 5-2 lead just a couple minutes into the game. Here in the Smith Center, it is Carolina with the 78-70 advantage with 25.5 seconds to go. Ryan, a really tough inbounds here in the corner, and gets it to R.J. Davis. Double team comes. Davis bounces out of it to Cadeau. Extra pass, middle of the floor, goes to Cormac Ryan. Tar Heels are on the front side. Ryan protecting the ball. Florida State still trying to just harass him. Ryan picks up his dribble, in some trouble, gets it with the bounce to Cadeau, and now Florida State's going to ease up. Cadeau will dribble it out. So Carolina down by as many as 14 in the second half, uses a massive run to take a 14-point lead of its own, and eventually top Florida State 78-70 to start the 71st season of ACC basketball off with a victory. Big one for Carolina today. They improve to 7-1 overall, 1-0 in ACC play. For the second straight game, Florida State loses a double-digit second half lead. They lost a 17-point lead with 6.5 to go against Georgia on Wednesday. They lose a 14-point lead here against Carolina with around 15 minutes to play in this one, and the Tar Heels get the big comeback win. All right, we've got the post-game report coming up. We'll have player of the game. Wait, R.J. Davis, a strong contender there with 27. We'll have play of the game. We'll talk to Coach Davis and a lot more. Tar Heels with the big comeback in half number 2. Fun Saturday afternoon in the Smith Center as Carolina wins it 78-70 from Learfield.
Our game today presented by Continental Tire. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires. And for a dealer near you, just go to continentaltire.com. We've gone final from Chapel Hill with Carolina knocking off Florida State 78-70. And if you've had any alcohol as a part of your game day activities, make sure you don't get behind the wheel. There are more ways than ever to get home safely. You can call a friend, a cab, take a bus, or app your ride. Carolina rides a huge second half run, 22-zip over a stretch to beat Florida State 78-70. Marcus Ginyard rejoins us from the floor of the Smith Center. And, partner, I know that you've seen this from both sides, but when you get clicking all of a sudden, you start forcing turnovers and you get easy baskets, it can snowball in a hurry. And that's the way the Tar Heels found themselves to a victory today.
Absolutely, and especially being here in the Smith Center, you get the crowd involved and the students involved. And, I mean, this is an energetic place to play basketball, and the Tar Heels just kind of got it going and got it going at the right time, you know.
From the Florida State perspective, I'm just curious, for a team that looked the part through the first, 25 or so minutes of today's game, how did they get so out of kilter when all of a sudden they struggled to get the ball across half court, never mind even try to score?
You know, in the game of basketball, much like, you know, a lot of other sports, it's just really about consistency. And, you know, about putting 40 minutes together, and they certainly had an incredible first half and first part of the second half, but just didn't quite keep it going the way that they wanted to, and North Carolina was able to throw them off a little bit, was able to get their energy going, and ultimately outwork them the way that Florida State outworked North Carolina in the first half. So, you know, it's tough to put together 40 minutes, especially when you got two great teams like this, but North Carolina just did a great job imposing their will in the second half.
Carolina beats Florida State 78-70 here today in Chapel Hill. It's also a lot about Marcus roster combinations, and even though Seth Trimble didn't start today's game, he was on the floor for a big stretch of that 22-0 run. What did you see as his biggest impact and how the Tar Heels were able to turn defense into offense?
You know, I've been super, super impressed by Seth Trimble and his ability to come into the game and impact the game in a positive way, whether that's on defense, whether that's running the court. You saw him today with two great finishes in transition. Just somebody that's out there giving so much energy to this North Carolina basketball team, and again, just kind of making an impact in a variety of different ways. And for me, I love players like that. That's the type of guy that I was when I was out there on the court a lifetime ago, it seems, but just love his effort and just love his ability to be a positive impact on this basketball team.
That's Marcus Ginyard with us here on the Coca-Cola Postgame Report in the wake of the Tar Heels' 8-point win over Florida State, 78-70. Marcus, it's interesting throughout Florida State's tenure in the ACC, some of Carolina's biggest and most memorable comebacks have been against the Seminoles. The last time the Tar Heels rallied from a 15-point deficit to win was against Florida State back in February of 2021. The biggest deficit today was only 14, but when it's that lopsided and there's still a lot of time left to play, what do you imagine was Coach Davis's message to the team?
Just one play at a time, right? One play at a time. Just make this next play a great play, and let's try to chip at this one play at a time. There's no 14-point play out there, so just doing the right things each and every play to put you in the position, to be in the game later. And ultimately they did that and more, but I just think that you just have to focus on one stop at a time, one score at a time, and North Carolina was able to do that several times over.
Carolina gets the win 78-70 to improve to 7-1 on the season. Most importantly, maybe 1-0 in the ACC during this really tough stretch of games. Marcus, coming off the Villanova loss, the Tar Heels bounce back from being down at the half against Arkansas, completely thumped Tennessee midweek, get the win today over Florida State, and the reward is to take on the defending national champion.
You're absolutely right. That is a reward. It's exciting, and it's incredible to be able to have that opportunity to play against the defending national champ, to play in Madison Square Garden. And so, just want to take my hat off to this North Carolina basketball team for what they've been able to do to this point. I think what we've seen so far from this team has been very encouraging to come back from that loss, like you mentioned, down in the Bahamas, and to have a great win here at home just a couple of days ago, and then to kind of solidify that win by having a great game coming back in the second half. And, that's going to definitely benefit them moving forward. And maybe even late in the season, they're going to be thinking about some of the things that they were able to do to come back from, that deficit in the second half. So super encouraging. But to your point, got about a great matchup coming up in Madison Square Garden next week. But that's why they came to North Carolina to play in those big-time games.
78-70, Carolina beats Florida State 3 in double figures. R.J. Davis goes off for 27 more today. Armando Bacot with a double-double, 13 points, 13 rebounds. Harrison Ingram, a very balanced afternoon with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists in 36 minutes of play. We'll press the pause button for a moment. We'll hope to have Coach Davis in the Continental Tire Coaches Corner when we come back. If he's not ready by then, well, we've still got more Marcus Ginyard. It's what we call a win-win situation here from Learfield.
This is Carolina basketball. Our post-game coverage continues with the Carolina Ford Dealers Wrap-Up Show. Ford F-150, what legends are made of. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. This is the Carolina Ford Dealers Wrap-Up Show.
Dave Nathan welcoming you back to business here inside the Smith Center. Carolina beats Florida State 78-70. We are still awaiting the Continental Tire Coaches Corner with Jones and Coach Davis. In the meantime, Dave Nathan, Marcus Ginyard here. And Marcus, we talked in the pregame about how the Tar Heels had such success at getting to the free throw line this year. At the half today, Carolina was just 5 of 6 at the stripe, which again, percentage-wise is great, but you'd like to be there and make more than just that. In the second half, Carolina goes 20 of 25 from the stripe and finishes today's game 25 out of 31, which means another 2,500 meals were donated to a local area food bank through Food Lion Feed. Score to give more program. And just overall, the aggressive way that the Tar Heels had to claw back from down 14 during that run, I thought was a real catalyst, and not just scoring, but getting to the free throw line, putting Florida State in a little bit of foul trouble too.
Dave, from the very beginning of the game, I thought that, getting to the basket was most effective for us tonight. And to see us finish 25 of 31 is just incredible. When I played with Coach Williams, he always talked about making more free throws than the other team attempted, and we certainly did that above and beyond tonight. Only 8 free throws attempted, Florida State. So just a great job of putting that pressure on their defense and also making a great percentage of our free throws like we talked about before the game.
R.J. Davis, 8 of 8 at the stripe. Bacot was 5 of 5. Ingram got there 7 times and connected on 5 to help the Tar Heels to an 8-point win today over Florida State. Statistically, Marcus, I know nobody is going to be wowed by shooting 42% from the floor or 5 of 22 from three-point land, but if you're Hubert Davis, you have to feel good knowing that you beat a quality team in Florida State when you didn't have your A game offensively speaking. We'll talk about that thought in a moment. It sounds like we're getting ready to hear from Jones and Coach Davis inside the Continental Tire Coaches Corner after Carolina goes on to beat Florida State by a final score of 78-70. And now it seems like we're ready to hear from Jones and Coach Davis. Guys?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. We are inside the Continental Tire Coaches Corner after Carolina makes the big comeback, trailing by as many as 14 at one point in the second half, then leading by as many as 14 in the second half, and eventually wins by 8. I'm with the head coach of the Tar Heels, Hubert Davis, just checking out the stat sheet. Coach, what were you looking at there to get some information?
Just looking at it, it was a really wild game. I just felt like, for whatever reason, just our energy and our effort wasn't there. That's the foundation of who we are. We have to play with, max out energy. And, for the first half and coming out of the second half, it just didn't feel like it was there. We just weren't making plays, weren't getting loose balls, just a step slow on both ends of the floor. And then we started to press, and that started to get us alive. And the energy just picked up where it should have been. And we were allowed to come back and beat a really good athletic Florida State team.
Other than just getting some energy, what did you like kind of technically about what you guys did in the press that seemed to give them a lot of trouble?
Well, we did two things. One, we created turnovers, and that allowed us to be able to attack the basket and be able to convert off those turnovers. And then number two is it sped them up. And so they were out of their offense. They took quick shots. We rebounded the basketball, and then it got us out in transition, which where we wanted to be, because it's in a half court against a set defense against them. It's just very difficult. They switch everything on and off the ball. They have 2 7-footers all the time out there on the floor. So attacking a basket, it sounds easy, but it's very difficult. And so us getting out in transition, creating steals, getting into the penalty really early, I thought that was huge for us, because then we were shooting 2 free throws pretty much almost half of the second half. And so that was great for us. But that press did a lot for us on both ends of the floor.
You had a 3-guard lineup out there a lot with Seth and RJ and Elliott in the second half. What do you like about that group together? They seem very effective in that second half.
I do like it. That's 3 point guards out there. I love it. And I've always been a fan of having as many playmakers out there on the floor. So when you get pressed, nobody can take you out of your offense. We have multiple guys that can make plays. And because of Elliott and RJ and Seth and their ability to attack the basket, that got us into the penalty and got us to the free throw line. And really, with that press and making free throws, that cut that 14-point lead to single digits. And then now you look up at the score and you're like, okay, now we can go now. And so that was, I like that lineup in there, and they played really well today.
Coach, that's now 3 straight games for RJ Davis with more than 27 points. I think it's 107 points in the last 4 games. As far as that first stat, he's the first Tar Heel to do that since Joseph Forte in 2001. There's only 10 Tar Heels that have ever done it. What's working for him right now? Is it just getting good shots? Is he hot? What are you liking about what he's doing offensively?
I think everything. I think he's hot. I think he's really good. He is an elite scorer on the ball and off the ball. And so when you have multiple playmakers like, Harrison and Elliott, they're looking for him, like he's getting to the free throw line and making his free throws. From an offensive standpoint, he's just in a really nice rhythm. And doesn't surprise me that he continues to score 27 points and is exactly what we needed out there. We need him to be big every game, and he has really stepped up here at the beginning of the season.
Just 2 more quick things. It felt like the Smith Center was a big part of these 2 games this week. Just the energy, the crowd. It just felt like that was important to be here this week.
It's always a factor for us. It's just our fans, our student section. They're a 50 out of a 10. They just are. They give us life. The encouragement that we get from them gives us energy and gives us life out there. And even when we were down by 14, I just felt like the crowd was just waiting and waiting for us to get into it. And their support has been absolutely fantastic. And these 2 crowds on Wednesday and then, Saturday afternoon in the ACC here is big time. they've been a tremendous help to us, and so the fans have been great.
Last thing, I know you got to go, but UConn on Tuesday, then you get exams, then Kentucky. I mean, this is a tough stretch. It's been a tough stretch, and it continues. How you try and manage this with your guys and with another big challenge upcoming? Yeah,
everyone, says, "Oh, this is a tough stretch." Yes, but tell me a point in Carolina basketball where there isn't a tough stretch. So, this is every year. Our non-conference schedule is one of the best in the country. Now you're having to play ACC games in December, and conference basketball can go either way. And so we're happy that we've won the last 3 games against really good opponents, and we're excited about the challenge of playing the defending national champions in Madison Square Garden. You know how much I love New York.
That comes up on Tuesday night, but for today, Carolina happy with the big comeback and the victory over Florida State. Coach, congratulations. Look forward to talking with you soon.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Jones.
That's Hubert Davis, guys, in the Continental Tire Coach's Corner.
I had it the whole way today here in the Smith Center, right? Florida State, no, they made it tough as you knew they would. Seminoles led by 6 at the half, led by 14 early in the second half. And Carolina then hits a big run. Marcus, I'm going to borrow your stat sheet. Coach Davis took mine, so I got to get another one. So Carolina went on that big run and ended up coming back, leading by as many as 14, and then winning by 8. That Florida State lead of 14 points was at about 17 and a half minutes, and then Carolina eventually led by 14 at around 4:45. So, I mean, you're looking at approximately 13 minutes of game time that Carolina goes from down 14 to up 14. And pretty impressive stuff there for Carolina. That included in the middle of all that was a 39-11 run that flipped it from down 14 to up 14. And in that run, Marcus, I think this really sums up the Tar Heels. Is R.J. Davis had 9, Seth Trimble had 7, Baycott had 7, Ingram had 6, Cormac Ryan had 5, Cadeau had 5. Multiple of those guys had steals, including Ryan and Davis with 2 apiece. 4 of those players that I just mentioned had 3 rebounds. So, I mean, yes, R.J. Davis had a huge day, and Armando Baycott had another double-double. But when Carolina was making the push that mattered, it was 6 guys there that really made impacts in multiple ways.
I mean, you're absolutely right. You look at the box score after the game, and you think there was 2 guys really kind of pushing the whole thing here. But to your point, when it mattered, everybody chipped in. Everybody did something positive out there on the court. And that's kind of exactly what we talked about going into the second half. Do we have those, let's say, quote-unquote support guys? Because I don't want to take anything away from them outside of the, R.J. Davis and Armando Baycott. But, does everybody get out there and contribute in a positive way? And they absolutely did.
This is the Coke Postgame Report brought to you by Coca-Cola. They say Coke Zero is irresistibly tasty. Does that make it the best Coke ever? You'll have to find out for yourself. And our game today was presented by Continental Tire. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires. For a dealer near you, go to continentaltire.com. So you just heard from Coach Davis. You're going to hear from R.J. Davis here coming up in just a second. Adam Lucas already has spoken to R.J. We had a recorder on that, so you're going to hear that coming up in just a moment. But Marcus, pretty much a slam dunk here for the Best in the Game feature brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line. Old Dominion Freight Line works hard to be the best in the game and is proud to support those striving to be the best in theirs. It's our Player of the Game feature, and hard to go anywhere else other than R.J. Davis today. 27 points for R.J. That gives him 107 points in the last 4 games. And I mentioned, you may have heard me kind of tip this stat when talking to Coach Davis. He becomes just the 10th Tar Heel to have 27 or more points in 3 consecutive games. And I don't even need to tell you that Jody Zeugner is the one who found this stat. But listen to this list of guys who have done this in the past. George Glamick, the blind bomber in the 40s. His number is retired up there. Lenny Rosenbluth, one of the best to ever do it at Carolina. His number is retired. Pete Brennan, member of the 57 national championship team. His jersey's honored. Billy Cunningham, one of the very best to ever do it at Carolina. Bob Lewis, one of the best scorers in Tar Heel history. Charlie Scott, one of the best period in Carolina history. Phil Ford, an all-time Tar Heel. Brad Doherty, number 1 pick in the NBA draft. Terrific big man. And then Joseph Forte in 2001. That's the last time it happened, was Joe Forte in 2001. So R.J. Davis just joined George Klamick, Lenny Rosenbluth, Pete Brennan, Billy Cunningham, Bob Lewis, Charlie Scott, Phil Ford, Brad Doherty, and Joseph Forte. I mean, that's a who's who of Carolina basketball history there. And there's some great names, of course, not on that list because it's hard to do. And Marcus, 27 points or more in 3 consecutive games. I believe it's 23 or more in 4 straight games. And it felt like there was a moment where it felt like RJ was pushing some, like pressing a little bit. And it was early in the second half. He missed a couple threes. But then, man, it was the defense, as Coach Davis talked about, that got everybody going, and it felt like he got RJ individually in rhythm as well.
Definitely. And, you talk about 27 points in 3 consecutive games, but also against 3 really big-time opponents, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, I just think that he's really kind of taking it upon himself to be sure to assert himself and to be a big-time player for this North Carolina basketball team like everybody wants him to be and everybody expected him to be, but and really doing it in a very effective and efficient way, right? So hats off to him. Again, great company that he's joining with those other 10 Tar Heels. Just kind of hope this continues, and he's got a little bit of a homecoming coming up here on early next week. So hopefully he has that good energy up in New York.
Yeah, Tar Heels have a heavy New York influence with R.J. Davis, Cormac Ryan, Elliot Cadeau, all from that area. Cormac Ryan's never played in the Garden before, and so that'll be a big game for all of those guys, as not just are you playing a terrific team in UConn, but being able to go back home or home area and play in Madison Square Garden. So that should be a lot of fun coming up on Tuesday. And Marcus is going to be back with us, so he'll be with us on Tuesday night at Madison Square Garden. So looking forward to that. Quick check. I know Dave's probably gone through the North Carolina Farm Bureau scoreboard, but you've got Miami and Virginia winning earlier. I'm sure Dave told you this, but Georgia Tech tops Duke in Atlanta, 72-68, the final there. So Duke loses back-to-back road games this week. It's tough to go on the road, something that Duke's learning this year, and lost this one to Georgia Tech, 72-68. NC State and BC getting late first half. State's trying to snap a couple-game losing streak here, and they're on top of Boston College right now, 32-26. About 2 minutes before halftime. So Carolina wins it today with the big comeback over Florida State, 78-70. Just 2 more quick things to mention. One, Coach Davis mentioned it. Marcus and I talked about it in the second half. Getting to the free throw line felt really important for Carolina in that second half. The Tar Heels took a bunch of free throws in the second half. They took 25 of them in the second half after having just 6 attempts in the first half, and they made 20 of them. So the free throw line continues to be a big part of Carolina's success. And then that 3-guard lineup. Yeah, you're probably not going to see it all the time, but, man, Marcus, it's an option, and it's a weapon with Trimble and Davis and Cadeau out there. Coach Davis talked about it. You got 3 ball handlers. You got 3 guys that can get to the rim. And you've got, at least in R.J. Davis, a really big threat from the outside. And Cadeau and Trimble have both shown at times that they're capable shooters too. So, that's an interesting lineup. Again, not one you'll probably see for 35 minutes a game or something, but one that can be effective for Carolina.
Absolutely, and it's interesting that, you made the comment that we got shorter when those guys were in there, and, against a big, athletic, long team like Florida State, they were still super effective. So, to your point, it'll be interesting to see those 3 guys out on the court together in whatever time that they're together, but great to see that they're effective and able to have such a great impact on the game. I
did see Seth back in the locker room area while we were waiting for Coach Davis. He said he took an elbow to the hip area. That's why he ended up limping off the court. Not that Seth's a doctor, but he said he didn't feel like it was going to be a long-term issue, but that he was in some pain and was still in some pain right after the game. So that'll be something certainly worth keeping an eye on as Carolina moves forward against Connecticut and, of course, over this very difficult stretch that continues with Kentucky and Oklahoma after that Connecticut matchup. All right, we're going to take a break, come back. Dave will get you the rest of the way through the Coke postgame report and the Carolina Ford Dealers wrap-up show. That will include a conversation with R.J. Davis. One thing before we get any final thoughts from Marcus, our first edition of Hubert Davis Live starts this Monday night, so we'll have a lot of great stuff to talk about with Coach Davis. That one will actually be done in studio. We're having to pre-record that one due to travel to New York for Carolina, so we will do that in studio on Monday morning. And then the show will air Monday evening. You can get questions in for that show, and I'll send out some Twitter reminders of that as well. But you can send a tweet right to me. It's @JonesAngel. Angel has 2 L's at the end of that last name. Or you can send us an email, asktheheels@gmail.com, asktheheels@gmail.com. and we'll get those questions ready for Coach for this week and moving throughout the entire season. Of course, that inbox is open all year long for Coach. So looking forward to that on Monday night. That'll be airing at 7 o'clock. Again, we're recording in the morning, but it'll come on at 7 o'clock on Monday evening. And then Carolina and Connecticut. It's late, 9 o'clock in New York on Tuesday night. We'll be on the air at 8 p.m. for that one. But, Marcus, before we get out of here, anything else that caught your eye that you want to talk about before we leave this afternoon?
I'll just say, progress, not perfection. North Carolina has not been perfect, but have seen some great progress in the first month, and now just a little more than a month of the season. So just super excited to see this basketball team continue to grow, continue to build on some of the things that they're putting together right now. And again, it's looked a little crazy at times, but I think overall heading in the right direction.
So Tar Heels improved to 7-1, 1-0 in league play. Florida State falls to 4-3, 0-1 in the ACC, but clearly a good and capable team that is going to be heard from as they move through conference action. So we'll take a timeout. Don't go anywhere, though. Dave's going to get you through the rest of the Coke postgame report and Carolina Ford Dealers wrap-up show. Big comeback. Heels go from down 14 to up 14 in the second half and end up winning it by 8 from Learfield.
Big performances by R.J. Davis becoming the norm for Carolina basketball early on in the season. Adam Lucas is standing by with the Tar Heel guard.
Alongside R.J. Davis. Again, he keeps doing it as the Tar Heels come back and beat Florida State. R.J., what an afternoon in the Smith Center. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was definitely an ugly game, but a win's a win. We kind of had low energy going to halftime and throughout the whole first half, and something had to change. And I just know Cormac – his saying it takes what it takes, and I think that's what we did there today. The way we were able to, change our vibe, change our energy going into the second half, and come back from a deficit, and you could just show how much we want it. Sometimes with a new team is different, in terms of facing adversity, and I think we did a good job of keeping our composure and just showing our will and how much we wanted to win. And I think we did a great job of just sharing the rock and getting stops and kind of speeding them up a little bit, and then we was able to convert on the offensive end.
How did you change the vibe and the energy?
I mean, it's the first conference basketball game, and we kept saying that in the speech, in the halftime speech, like for us to have our first conference game and on our home floor, that's not the type of energy that we want to portray and go out there with. So going to the huddle was a lot of back and forth in terms of just trying to uplift and get something out of everyone, even from the bench. And I think that's what we were able to do going into the second half.
What did extending the defensive pressure do to them and in turn enable you to do?
It kind of got them into a pinch a little bit in terms of trying to find open guys, but we had guys flying around with our athleticism and speed. From myself to Harrison, Cormac, Seth, and Elliott, we were able to just kind of feel the passing lanes and anticipate the pass and the deflections. And we was able to get some steals and convert on the offensive end. I think we did a better job of our transition offense a little bit. We was able to get downhill, and once we got downhill, the defense collapsed and was able to find shooters.
Saturday afternoon crowd in the Smith Center, as things start to go downhill and go well for the Tar Heels as you're making that comeback, how much of that do you hear, and what role does that play to have that type of environment?
I mean, it's a great environment. Anytime you play in the Smith Center, any day, it could be a Saturday, it could be a Monday, it's always going to be great energy. But just to have our fans on our side, even when things weren't going our way, we were down, I think their energy, kind of uplifted ours, and we was able to just kind of keep chipping away. And, I mean, we didn't want to put ourselves in that position, but I think sometimes things like games like that are also needed just to test to see how mentally strong. It's never always physical. It's more mentally in terms of trying to make our way back, and we did a terrific job of doing that.
Okay, I'm going to read these names to you. In the entire history of Carolina basketball, these are the only players who have ever scored 27 points in 3 straight games, which you've now done. Okay. Some of these names you aren't going to know. Right. George Glamick, Lenny Rosenbluth, Pete Brennan, Billy Cunningham, Bob Lewis, Charles Scott, Phil Ford, Brad Daugherty, Joseph Forte. That's a lot of guys who have important places in the rafters at the Smith Center. Mm-hmm. What does it say that R.J. Davis is in that kind of company about the way you're playing right now?
I mean, it feels great just to be with those, type of high-level caliber players that played here. It's definitely a great feeling. I'm definitely honored to be a part of that, and it kind of just shows how much I put into this offseason And, I'm just trusting my work and trusting myself, and my teammates give me a lot of confidence and to go out there and just be myself. And, just to, as you names those lists and for my name to be a part of it, that's only motivation to continue to keep it going.
It doesn't feel like you're hunting your shot during this stretch. How are you you're getting plenty of points in the flow of the normal offense?
Yeah, and I think that's why this team is so great, because I don't feel like I always have to hunt my shots. I know my teammates are going to find me and vice versa. And I think when I'm able to be aggressive, that's when things kind of just slow down. And also me being a senior and seeing all different types of games in and out of the game, I think everything is slowed down, and I'm able to pick my poison and get to my spots when I need to.
Got to plenty of spots today. R.J. Davis, 27 points. Carolina, big ACC opening comeback win against Florida State. R.J., thank you.
Appreciate it.
That'll wrap up our broadcast for today, produced as always by Tar Heel Sports Properties, a property of Learfield. Our general manager is Chuck Schrader. Phil Brames, the network manager. Network coordinator Paul Roper. Our thanks to chief network engineer Ben Alexander. John Essick pushing all the white buttons back in the studio. And Jody Zeugner with the statistics. For Jones Angel, Marcus Ginyard, Adam Lucas, and the rest of our crew, my name is Dave Nathan, reminding you that our next broadcast begins with the Reach Jewelers pregame show on Tuesday at 8 o'clock when the Tar Heels play Connecticut. Once again, our final score, Carolina 78, Florida State 70, and you heard it all right here on Tar Heel Sports Network.
Carolina basketball has been brought to you by Wells Fargo, official retail bank sponsor of Carolina Athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Tar Heels Sports Network.